Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you miss something, we got you covered. All 3 hours posted every day. Upon the conclusion of the show, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault, you can always email the program if you like as well. It's jcs at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. Woohoo! WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. Use it, and you'll also be able to access the archived audio from that app as well. You can email the show if you like. It's jcs at 979ESPNradio.com. On Twitter at JCameronShow, and we're on YouTube as well. Thanks so much for those of you that either watch live or go back and catch up. Seems like a lot of people do that. Go back and catch up on the YouTube feed. Anyhow, hello, and thanks for listening. Well, fine balls McWednesday to all of you. Good times, buddy. I'm in a great mood, man. I think we got the juices flowing yesterday, quite by accident, just by stating that I thought that Alabama would beat Florida State. And then, but you know what it did? It's sort of, it's like you move some things around a little bit. You rearrange some things a little bit, and all of a sudden, everybody's coming out of the woodwork with some commentary about that very thing, and that's all right. That's all right. It's good. Good to hear it from all sides. There were the people that said, Cameron, you're freaking crazy, man. And then there were others that said, nope, good call. We're going to get killed. And then there were a whole lot of other people in between saying, well, now, damn it, I just don't know. And so that's kind of where we're at, and that's all right. I'm still waiting to get more assessment of this team throughout the rest. Really about the next 5 days. I'm very interested about the next 5 days. Coach Fisher did note yesterday some injuries that we'll see guys out, and then also talked about some things that he doesn't like, including the stupid targeting rule, which we've certainly talked about, and I agree with him there wholeheartedly. But also that, one of the things that's interesting is he expects that Tavares McFadden will handle punt return duties, and that Derwin James will return kicks along with Keith Gavin. Of course, we last saw Keith Gavin return a kick in the Orange Bowl, in which he absolutely emasculated a poor young man from Michigan who will have to live with that shame the rest of his life. And really, if I were an enemy of that young man, I'd play that on loop for him and his family to watch. But I'm an ass like that.
It's hard to envision in your mind what it's going to look like with Tavares McFadden, who's a tall guy.
Bunch of size in all. Really, if you think about it, Derwin's a big guy. Tavares is a big guy. Keith Gavin's a big guy.
I've seen that in the kick returns at least, but when it comes to the punt returns, man, is he just somebody who's been sent out there to go catch the ball? Or is it his job to actually advance the football?
He was good at it in high school, so we'll see. Now, see, you're the jaded one now. Is that what we're talking about here? I said last year we were going into the season talking at length about how good our defense was going to be, and then they weren't. And so I'm holding out hope that it's different this year, and it may very well be. And I do think it's a deeper team defensively than it was a year ago. I acknowledge that. So there are some circumstances that are different. But I think saying and admitting to the fact that one of my concerns is that the very thing we were almost universally in agreement upon was that this defense would be great last year and then wasn't, is more than enough reason and accurate to cite why you'd be concerned going into this season. Same type situation. Admittedly, this year's group is a little bit deeper. And for you, you've been tired of a couple things. You've been tired about figuring out who it is going to play center at an elite level again, and then in the return game, we all know we've been terrible. Basically, since Greg Reed left, we haven't done anything right in punt and kick returns, or coverage for that matter, and that's very, very frustrating. So everybody looks at that with a jaundiced eye and says, all right, when are we going to see a change? And, hey, maybe this is the group. Just because it hasn't been good doesn't mean it won't be good.
This is true. The funny thing was that the Kermit Whitfield return for a touchdown out in Pasadena was like the end of the time that we would be good at returning kicks. And then we'll return a punt now. When we play the FCS or a low-level FBS team, we'll return the hell out of one in that situation. Mm-hmm. But other than that, we've had any number of players who did it in high school who are also elite playmakers here at Florida State on the offensive or defensive side of the ball struggle. Levante Taylor was great at it in high school. I thought that was one of the perks of him coming here on signing day was Well, he's the guy that's going to bring you back closest to where we were in the Greg Reed days. Rashad Green once held down those duties and was awful at it. Tyler Hunter then replaces him, and he was awful at it. And then last year, Nooney Murray, he's trying to cost us the momentum. Well, he did cost us the momentum.
Because he did do that.
But he did almost tried to cost us the entire Orange Bowl with, what his foible was inside the old
certainly made up for it
10-yard line. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Hey,
and that's who he is. That's who he's going to be. The guy who's infinitely frustrating and the guy who redeems himself. I think that's Nooney to a T.
Hey, so I want to address some of the similar subjects that caused the stir that I referenced to open the segment here yesterday. And just note this: it's I'm certainly not backtracking from the selection that I had. But I did say, and I have learned over the years, and this I'm sure we all do it to some degree, to varying degrees. But, the hearing what you want to hear thing, I did say that Florida State might surprise me in some areas where I just can't know yet. I can't know just how much better. For example, a great example of that and where we're at with this is I just can't know how much better Alec Eberle is. And if he's good, that's a different unit. We're talking about a different offensive line. If the center play is good, it changes the game. And maybe that's going to happen. I certainly hope so for that young man's sake. Having talked to him for a good bit just a week ago today, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and he was a guy that expressed his frustrations about the way last year played out. He expressed how much the gains he's been able to accomplish because of that surgery and what it's allowed him to do in the weight room and what it's allowed him to do from flexibility standpoint, movement standpoint. So maybe that does happen. I do hold out hope that it's a distinct possibility that he's almost a night and day difference from the player he was last year to the player he is this year, because that does change the game, Tom. And I'll stop right there. I won't even go over to left tackle, where I do think, obviously, we're all kind of holding our breath and hoping that we get better play there, or that we have satisfactory play there. With all the kind of merry-go-round that's been there, that makes you nervous. But at the same time, I'll hold out that the possibility is that that works out okay too. But I'm in particular at center. If that happens, we're able to accomplish things that maybe in my head right now I don't know that we can sustain. And if Derek Kelly's good at left tackle, then okay.
Well, to me, it's the interior, and I want to know how good the interior is.
I think that's going to be good, right? I mean, again, I just got done saying Eberle, who's in the interior. So Minshew and Dickerson, we both like Landon Dickerson a lot. I love him. I think he's going to be a star. Minshew's the one you're worried about.
Yes.
Well, Minshew hurts you more in pass protection, stunts, those kinds of things that happen. He's slow-footed. He can get abused there. But if we're running downhill, you like Minshew a lot. Oh, I do. I mean, I'm saying the royal you.
The royal you. I tend to agree. That's why, again, it was either Monday or yesterday I was talking about, it just feels to me like the glue plays of this offense, the ones that you go to when you need, are going to resemble that of a professional-style offense, are going to be about running the football, being physical, and it's going to be about matchup football on the perimeter. Nothing crazy, not double moves or wheels or little bubble screens to the outside, those RPOs that we would kick it out to a Kermit Whitfield or a Bobo Wilson. I'm talking true old school, he's bigger than you, so let's go get the ball to Keith Gavin in space because I can't stay in the pocket for 2 or 3 seconds kind of football. But, Minshew has to improve, too, if we're going to be a team that, relies on the run in key situations. And it relies on a guy like a Jacques Patrick more than it does some of the young studs. Well, you got to be able to get him to the line of scrimmage without interference. And are the 3 in the middle strong enough to get that done? Minshew, to me, is actually the biggest of the 3 question marks. I think Eberle is going to be okay. I know that Dickerson, if he's healthy, is mean. He's got a nasty
he's good. He's big, too. Yeah,
he's smart. All the above.
Mm-hmm.
Minshew apparently has lost a little weight. Okay, maybe that helps with his mobility, but right guard to me is the number one thing I'm looking at in the interior of the line.
Well, and let me say this too, and maybe you knock somebody down to pick them back up, but I'm not saying this to couch the areas of concern, but the report out of camp, the reports I get, and the people I talk to, and it's limited, but we're able to get some information about how the scrimmages have gone. We're able to get information from people about the day-to-day, how they look here and there, right? one of the things that, and this isn't giving away company secrets, if you will. I mean, this is something that, most teams do, but we wondered aloud. We've kind of speculated and over time have talked about whether or not this would be something we'd see. How much does Jimbo Fisher feel it's necessary to run his quarterback? And I think you can help mitigate some of the disadvantages that I referenced in yesterday's talk of this matchup against Alabama specifically by running the quarterback, by using DeAndre Francois and changing the math. And if that happens, I do think that, A, it's the right decision. I think you kind of have to do it, frankly, to keep Alabama honest and to give yourself a chance to move the football with the ground game. It's to incorporate him a lot in the running game, DeAndre Francois, that is. And I'm hearing they're doing that they're doing quite a bit of that. That's a good sign. I like to hear those reports. That's a positive thing. And if you must know, almost universally, even amongst people that don't know each other, that I happened to reach out to regarding this last scrimmage, noted that DeAndre Francois had a good scrimmage, that it had been rocky heading into that scrimmage, that the defense is way ahead of the offense. Now, I never panic when I hear that because I hear that every year, because defenses are ahead of offenses early in the season and certainly throughout the early portions of camp. And this is going to be, we think, a very good defense. It's certainly from a depth standpoint, talent standpoint, and depth of talent. I mean, frankly, it's not, there's not huge drop-offs in these areas in which you look at the second, third-string guys that will be getting reps. It's understandable that group would be ahead of the offense, and they will win more than their fair share of battles leading into. So going into this scrimmage, the defense had really been owning the offense, and yet DeAndre had a good scrimmage. That's a very positive sign. I know that Keith Gavins had a good camp. I know that Auden Tate's had a good camp. So these are, again, things that will buoy you if you were a little downtrodden yesterday when we were talking about this game.
Well, I think if you're Jimbo, again, you pull DeAndre aside and you say, listen, September is going to be the month from hell. I need you. I need you in all facets of what you do, especially in week one, but for the entire month, given what the defensive lines are going to be that we're facing. Man, you've got to at least give the opposition something else to think about. And I'll go back to what I've said before. Last year, Jimbo did call more runs for DeAndre in review than I thought in the week-to-week flow of the season. In key moments, he was willing to turn the ball over to 12, let him tote the rock, or an RPO of some kind. But he got his legs involved. They're going to have to be more involved. Point blank. They're going to have to be more involved for week one and for the month. And if you can get through the month at 2-1 or in those big three games, or you can get through the month 3-0 in those big three games, man, you've got a few weeks to rest after that. You've got Duke, Wake, and a bye week, and you gear up for Louisville, and here we go again. But that's probably going to be more of a high-octane football game than these first three big ones that you're going to see, where you feel better about 24, 27 points against Bama, Miami, and NC State than you would against a Louisville offense. So to me, it's, all right, DeAndre, listen, I know you got banged up last year. Some of it's on the offensive line. In fact, a lot of it is. A lot of it's on you, too. But here we go. You're healthy. I need you. You've got to be something akin to what Deshaun Watson was in the title game from a scheming standpoint. They have to be thinking about you. They have to account for you.
Yeah, a couple of things, too, that while we're looking at this game and trying to take the perspective of how you win it, because it is possible. I don't want to paint the picture that Florida State can't win the game. They absolutely can win this game. The way that they would pull off the mild upset over Alabama is, I do think, to run him. And obviously they've got to play very good defense and contain Hurts and make him throw the football down the field. Jalen has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that he can throw it behind the line of scrimmage better than anybody. It's an easy throw to make, and Alabama asked him to make it a lot. I guess actually I should take that back. I think he only completed 62% of his passes, even with all of those throws behind the line of scrimmage last year. So maybe he doesn't do that better than everybody else. But it's an easy pass to make. You need to take away him in the run game, take away a lot of that short stuff, come up and make tackles. Derwin being back is huge for all of that, obviously. But I want him to have to beat Florida State down the field. And maybe he can. Maybe he does. And if he does, you doff your cap. But that's the way you would play it. But I think that's a big part of winning this game is taking away that comfort and making him throw the ball down the field, keeping him in pocket. And then for Florida State, again, offsetting maybe what disadvantage I perceive this to be Florida State's offensive line against Alabama's defensive line by running the quarterback, moving the pocket, doing those kinds of things. And I'd let him do a lot of the stuff that he's most comfortable with on first down, not waiting till they're behind the chains to throw the football. And Jimbo's been great over the years about letting his quarterback throw on first down. He believes it to be a distinct advantage that if you're going to throw the football, throw it on first down. Where you can really kind of dictate terms a little bit more. So I do think, in a weird way, despite what we're talking about with this loaded backfield and Jimbo wanting to do a lot of double tights and all that stuff, we're going to throw the football on first down against Alabama.
The thing I worry about more than anything on the offensive line, I just got done saying about the interior. Right guard is the position I have the most questions about. Okay, the tackle's going to be able to hold up against that? You know, because Alabama does have, not just good players, but quite the scheme that might confuse the edges. And if you're talking about a Rick Leonard who was up and down, we think he's more up now than down, but he was slated at left tackle to start.
Yeah, well, we don't think he'll be great. We think he's serviceable to slightly above par, right?
Yeah, I would take that. If you could guarantee me that right now, I'd take and run. And then whatever Kelly is, it's hard to know. But he's going to have to find out for himself, right? Isn't Kelly going to have to figure out for himself on the fly whether or not he's good enough to be a left tackle against a defense like Alabama's?
Hell of a test. Luckily, he is tested on a daily basis against a defense that will be every bit as good as Bama's. So we think. Now, we'll see again. We had awfully high hopes last year going into the season. Again, a deeper group this year than last, admitted. Derwin being back is a huge bonus, but Derwin was out there for that Ole Miss game, so I just will see. And
have you learned, right?
Yeah, I hope so, because if they have and they've had a great camp defensively, then listen, we got a whale of a ball game, and I look forward to it. Hey, if you really, the other thing that I'll slide in there in this larger conversation about what I think this Florida State team is, to my knowledge, without seeing a game yet. And that is a big part of the evaluation, is we have to see them play. But again, you kind of portend, you look at things from a year ago and how that relates to this year. I will say I'm not the kind of worried that other people have expressed about the other two big games early in the season. I think Miami's got a very difficult task in coming up here with a new starting quarterback and beating Florida State with a defense like this that Florida State's going to have. So I feel good about that game. I think we'll win our 8th straight against Miami. I think we'll edge ever closer to the Platinum Bohica with those sorry asses. And then I think the other side of it is that I don't really fear NC State. If this were on the road, where traditionally, no matter what NC State is, we struggle with them, then I would really, really be wrought with nerves. I think NC State, and especially with now the off-the-field troubles that they just had, I feel like NC State's going to come here and lose the game to Florida State pretty convincingly. So I'm not nearly as concerned about those two matchups as a lot of people are. It's just this one. It's just this one of the big three that people keep alluding to. This one, where Bama has obviously been very successful in these openers. Grant you, of the teams they've played, this is the best one. Florida State's the best one. So I'm not trying to compare Florida State to West Virginia.
Ooh, they struggled with that in 2014.
They did. Relatively, they did. I never felt like West Virginia was going to win the game, no matter how that, at one point I think it was a 10-point game kind of late, but it didn't feel like West Virginia could win. I feel like the third quarter, the game will very, very much be up in the air.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
On Saturday, we're going to play a game. We're going to most likely win that game, and we're going to celebrate on Sunday.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Whole Foods Market, a leader in natural and organic food that brings the highest quality of local and global products to Tallahassee. Whole Foods Market, located at 1817 Thomasville Road, and presented by MMT Clinics of Florida. Visit MMTCFL.com.
To the pylon! That's a Seminoles touchdown!
The Knolls are heating up, and so are the Makita deals at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener, your Big Bend Makita Pro Center. The Build Your Own Kit promo is here with many options to choose from. Buy a Makita Dual Base Starter Kit with bag, 2 5-amp-hour batteries, and pick your 2 bare tools. Cornerstone Tool & Fastener, your professional and serious do-it-yourself shop. 1110 Stuckey Ave, Tallahassee, or 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Call them at 580-1200 in Tallahassee or 926-1144 in Crawfordville. Online at CTF.NU.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
I'm Fred Conrad, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I believe your freedom is too important to trust to an inexperienced lawyer. For over 20 years, I've successfully defended those accused of DUI, drug offenses, and a host of other misdemeanor and felony offenses. My office is located in my hometown, and as a third-generation Tallahassee native, former local prosecutor and law enforcement instructor, I have the skills and experience necessary to handle your case. When you call my office, you will talk to me, and I'll personally handle your case. So don't blow it. Call me at 222-4005 or go to fredconrad.com.
Your mobile company said you were getting unlimited data, but what they really gave you was some limited data that slows down once you've hit, you guessed it, a limit. With Simple Mobile, you get truly unlimited high-speed data with nationwide coverage on a blazing fast 4G LTE network for just $50 a month with no contract. Mobile simple with Simple Mobile.
Available nationwide at Best Buy and authorized retailers. Video typically streams at DVD quality. A month equals 30 days. Always refer to the latest terms and conditions of service at simplemobile.com.
Wish summer would last forever? Ask Sherwin-Williams and save 30% on paints and stains during the Endless Summer Sale, August 24th through September 4th. With colors like Picnic, Pressed Flower, and August Moon, you'll be surrounded by summer long after the leaves have changed. Your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams paint store is right around the corner. Find it at sherwinwilliams.com/save. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Got to give Alicia some love here. You guys don't know her, but I missed the schedule being written in the upper left-hand corner of the big board from my perspective over here in studio with the beautiful handwriting of hers laying out before us. A constant reminder that Florida State football is upon us. I was going to ask the director of this here program for the YouTube feed Matthew to ride it up there, but then it occurred to me that he just wouldn't be able to live up to that standard. No fault of his own. I can't either.
We can call her back in for a day. She's going to be helping with the event on Friday.
Yeah, I think maybe we should. And that is a perfect segue because this Friday is the Listener Appreciation Event, the Libations Friday Fest that we have every year. 6th annual this go around. 7th annual. Is this 7th or 6th?
6th. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've been doing the show for a long time, and then only 6 on these airwaves or whatever it is. So, yeah. We're going to meet you over there at Corner Pocket. Should be fun. And I look forward to seeing all of you this Friday, 6 o'clock, Appalachia Parkway, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And, there'll be shirts given out to those that make their way over to the event. And our friends from Full Press Apparel coming through yet again, just got done approving the proofs. And that I guess they'll get loaded up this afternoon, tomorrow, and we'll be all set. And then we have, at the end of the night, raffle giveaways and the like. Should be fun. A lot of stuff.
Tons of giveaways. We'll list them out as the show goes on.
Yeah, I got a lot of thanks to give and people to thank and tip of the cap and all that. Oh, you know what, Tom? It's good call. Let's do it real quick. Saltwater Seafood helping us out. That's good stuff. We're gonna have 8 6-packs of craft brews from our friend at Cigar City and Oscar Blues, our friends. 2 rounds of golf, my boys at Killearn Country Club, and girls. $25 gift cards to Metro Deli. Those are our boys.
Yes, they are.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
2 of those. And Jersey Mike's came through with office lunches catered for 10 to 12 people. Damn, that's a lot of delicious subs right there. That's a good thing. 2 $30 gift cards to Games for Less. My man George Dial there on Appalachia Parkway doing it up for the gaming community. 30-minute private golf lesson from Butch Bundy. He's our guy at Killearn, PGA professional. WarChant.com coming through as always with an annual subscription to WarChant plus a WarChant.com t-shirt and tumbler. And I think Bill will come through for us here with the CP as he always does.
Yeah,
too.
with the wing feasts.
Yeah. 100 wing, 3 domestic pitcher wing feasts at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And their wings are delicious.
I'm sure we'll have something for the 7th Hill Tap Room as well because, that place doesn't suck at all.
No, a lot of fun. Good place. Lots of choices. Good vibe. Plus, we play games there. We play a lot of fun games there. In particular, one that I almost knocked over and ruined for life.
The shuffleboard.
With my hip.
Oh, that was the 5th annual Libations Friday.
Was that the 5th?
Yeah, that was. 5th. Hip check. From the heavens. You would have been a good hockey player.
I think so. I gave that sucker a good shot, didn't I?
You would have felt the breath leave the body if you hit that person.
Oh, man. I was looking at the Herbies. They're out. Did you know that? Did you know the Herbies were out?
Oh God!
Yeah.
Stop the press.
The Herbies were out. I'm just saying. And he was noting that he had Ronnie Harrison there as one of the enforcers at Alabama, as a guy to watch out for this year. And he welcomed back a lot of talent across the country, including a stud and you and I both like him, Harold Landry at Boston College.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We do play Boston College this
We
year.
do?
What do you think the over-under on sacks is?
Well, we'll see what Rick Leonard can do with this young man.
That was something. Favorite I tell you what I hate. When you get this list and you immediately compare and contrast, look, you can say whatever you want to say about Kirk Herbstreit. It's just another list of players that people will be taking a closer look at and assessing as we go through the season. But what you do whenever these kinds of lists come out, no matter who comprises them, which of these guys that are mentioned or heralded as this, or this, usually they are superlatives that are being thrown around, do we have to face? And, you get to Sean Dion, the Hamilton, the linebacker at Alabama, he's on the list. And then, I was going through one by one all the different players, and I'm going, well, we play him. We play him too. There's the enforcer. He's at Alabama. We play him. There's that bastard. He's at Alabama. We play him. And it's just, wears on you a little bit.
One thing that's interesting to me as we're approaching the season and you hear about all the stars that are coming this year, and obviously the radar's up for Darnold out at USC and Rosen at UCLA as far as draft prospects go. The kid at Wyoming, because, again, top 5, top
quarterback,
10, draft pick, the quarterback out of there. But Lamar Jackson really isn't mentioned all that much, and I get it that they crashed and burned in November last year, and they found some tape where they could at least hold Louisville's offense down a little bit. Did Duke and Houston, Virginia for much of that game.
Houston did a lot. They kicked their ass.
They did. But at the same time, I'm starting to swing back the other way on the pendulum. I mean, the guy is pretty damn dynamic. Have we completely forgotten about him? Are we taking him for granted? Nobody seems to be mentioning Lamar Jackson this year as one of the featured players in the sport.
He didn't help himself. His demeanor as a quarterback when things began to go wrong and the seeming way in which he imploded in some of those games and sort of, as opposed to these leaders, these dynamic leaders we see at quarterback across the country kind of overcome adversity and win football games and do things that help pick up the other guys around them, which is what Jimbo Fisher talks about the quarterback position being and what you have to be, unflappable in the face of adversity. He was the antithesis. He was a guy that was as dynamic as you'll ever see, did things against us and others that was awe-inspiring, truly awe-inspiring. Won the Heisman, deservedly so. But that November of which you speak certainly did not bear out traits that you would find favorable to the position. And I know he's young and he's a good player and he is a really good player. He's better than that. As a college football player, he's elite as elite gets. Now, I don't think his game translates at that position to the NFL. But we've been saying that for years. It doesn't have to. It doesn't matter. We're talking about him in college, and he's really, really, really good.
Right. It doesn't matter whether or not it translates. And I get it. Last year, I was of the mindset heading into Louisville that if you could just somewhat contain this guy and force him to throw a couple of passes.
Easier said than done, right?
Well, I mean, we couldn't hit the broadside of a barn I'm talking from a tackling standpoint.
He makes you miss in space. He's too good.
And then we were broken in the back end when it came to coverages, too. So we made it really, really, really easy on him. He's going to make 5 to 10 plays a game, every game where your jaw just drops to the floor, and you say,
those
well,
are the
who
things
does
where
that?
you say you can't do anything about that. Can't do anything about that.
So I thought he was a freak, an athletic freak of, exponential proportions. The hyperbole couldn't be too high.
You want to have fun with that?
For his
look
athleticism.
At the numbers again before the season starts.
From September? The first 6 games?
Just go look at the season. Well, yes, but go look at the season numbers for Lamar Jackson from last year. Go look at what he accomplished. It's crazy.
Yet, despite how athletic he was, I thought you could limit him and he could be easily beaten if a team has the right game plan. You could hold him down to where that offense scores 20 to 25 points and then you could put up your points on your side of the football and then you win the game. You take a breath of relief after the game was over, but you could do it. It could be done. Well, it was done and then some in November. But still, at the same time, I mean, he's not being mentioned at all, and he's a reigning Heisman Trophy winner.
I don't think people like him.
It's because they don't like Johnny Manziel.
The only thing I'll say about Johnny Manziel, and I know our tendency, and certainly we don't ignore it on this show, is to point out the greatest difference between the two. One's white and one's black. I got you. I don't think this is that, though. I don't. We didn't know of Johnny Manziel's foibles, the off-the-field stuff, to that extent, to what we ended up finding out, where he was an unmitigated disaster, a train wreck, a guy with addiction issues and mental issues and all that other stuff. At the time that they were hyping him after the game he had against Bama, I don't think people really knew that he was that way. They thought he was flamboyant, but you didn't see him get down in a game. You didn't see him react poorly from a body language standpoint and an attitude standpoint on the field when things were going bad for them. So we didn't know. Now, we knew, you and I certainly screamed from the heavens that nobody should draft that guy. He's got no chance to be a good NFL quarterback. Said that time and again and argued with everybody that wanted to. But as far as his time in college, we never got that from him.
I hear you, but for me, Manziel disease, for example, was a quote, before he started the year after.
Well, he had a big head. He was, certainly he trusted himself an awful lot, and he gave money signs and did things. Yeah, there's no doubt that he was arrogant, but I don't think people hold that too much against folks. It's the body language and the attitude when things aren't going right that really rubbed people the wrong way last year with Lamar. He was an ass on the field when things were going poorly for them.
I totally agree, and that's, again, I think he's a deeply flawed player, but where he's not flawed is the athleticism.
Oh, he's freakish.
And it's captivating, and it's something that I would figure would be noted at some point. I mean, because Louisville was capable when he's playing at his highest level.
Well,
they're capable of beating anybody. I mean, they almost came all the way back against Clemson. I know that Clemson opened the door for Louisville, but they kicked it down, and they nearly finished the job.
Well, he's a great player, a Heisman Trophy winner for a reason. I don't know that he's being that ignored. I think that certainly he was talked about ad nauseum a year ago, and maybe people are ready to talk about somebody else, because I would also note that, remember, Manziel played at Texas A&M at a time where the media, in particular the company we work for, ESPN, was very fond of noting how damn awesome the SEC was and that it was the greatest division in college football history, all of which turned out not to be true at all, at least of the SEC West. And so you had these conversations that began at a much different place than where they began at when you're assessing Louisville, a 4-loss team out of the ACC. Now, the ACC had the best year of any conference in college football a year ago, but it's 1 year, and it's just now newly replaced its old image with one that's shinier and easier to stomach for people, even to accept. But it wasn't riding the coattails of 5 or 6 or 7 years worth of overhype. Or over-the-top hyperbole, at the very least. So I think it's a little bit apples to oranges. We'll see. And now, if they largely ignore him and he's putting up numbers like that again early in the year, then, yeah, I'll get on board with you there.
Well, again, it'll just we're tired of somebody every year, so I get that. And there is fatigue factor there was for Jameis for a multitude of reasons, but there was a fatigue factor, even here to a degree. But if you're going to tell me about Sam Darnold's 2 touchdowns a week, and then you're going to – all I'm saying is I'm hearing about these players because they're going to be top 10 or top 15 draft picks. But, what about the unique athlete over there in Louisville that's a blast to watch, even if he is a head case or even if he is negative from a body language standpoint? That guy is a human highlight factory.
Who do you like to, ignoring your fandom, ignoring your loyalties, ignoring any of those things, just a fan of college football, efforting to speak objectively about all teams, including ones that we don't like? Who's a player that, you love to watch? Because I'm starting to do that. I'm starting to do my checklist again of guys that I just can't wait to see again. And some that you forget are back. Like, how many years has Nick Chubb been at Georgia?
He's still there?
Yes. Doesn't it feel like Nick Chubb has been at Georgia for as long as we've been on the air at ESPN? I swear to God, I forgot about. I was double-checking the depth charts at Georgia just because we all expect them to win the East this year. I say we. I'm making certain assumptions. If you don't expect them to win the East, you should. I'm looking at the Georgia team and what I like and don't like about them last night. I'm like, damn, Nick Chubb, you're still getting it.
Well, I think, obviously Stidham in Auburn is going to be somebody that a lot of people have circled. But listen, if that kid's good, if that kid brings a above-average floor to a week-to-week with Auburn and what that defense has been, I think that's going to be interesting to watch, because then all of a sudden the balance of the SEC West is a little bit in doubt, which is nice for a change. I like the Chris Evans kid at Michigan. That was the one that I felt like, why aren't they feeding the ball to Evans in the Orange Bowl a little bit more? That kid's really, really dynamic.
Yeah, I was going to say he was scary to watch, right?
Yeah, and so now he's going to be, one of the focal points of that offense, since that team lost to everybody, basically everybody of their starters. That kid is going to be,
more and more, you realize how big that Michigan-Florida game is.
Right.
Both those teams and those conferences.
Well, and that's, as we're preparing for our game, I'm going to be wanting to see what the Evans kid brings to the table. And then Scarborough, we're going to see him up close and personal, but he gets hurt in the national title game. I think if he doesn't get hurt, then, Alabama's won back-to-back titles. I'll be interested to see what he can do over the course of a full season.
And in that he's part of a loaded backfield. For me, it's Shaq Quarterman at Miami. Love watching him play. He's an elite linebacker, 6'1", 250, 240. He's a big kid. It's unbelievable to watch him play in space. I don't make a habit of coming on here and prattling on and how great certain Miami players are, but he's awesome to watch.
They're dynamic. That front seven is quite dynamic.
And they're going to get their ass kicked up here in Tallahassee. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
On Demand, the Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast, brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer, 574-4100, and presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia, and Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
The Ford Summer Sales Event is in full swing.
All right, man. 7 ballparks in 7 days. Here we go.
I've got my maps.
You don't need them. Huh? I got a nav system. See, you could even pinch to zoom. Look at.
And with available Sync 3 and voice-activated navigation, Ford Fusion has the tech to get you there and back.
Okay, you're holding that map upside down, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I thought Indiana looked strange.
Take on summer right with Ford, America's best-selling brand, during the Ford Summer Sales Event. Get 0% financing for 72 months on select Fusion, Escape, Edge, and Explorer models. Plus, get $1,000 on top of your trade-in. Offer ends August 22nd. Best selling based on current year 2016 sales. Don't drive while distracted. Use voice-operated systems when possible. Don't use handheld devices while driving. Not all buyers qualify for Ford credit financing. 72 months at $1,389 per month per $1,000 finance regardless of down payment. Trade Assist Cash requires trade-in of 95 or newer vehicle or lease terminated 30 days prior to or 90 days after new retail delivery. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com for complete details. Take delivery from dealer stock by August 22nd, 2017.
Katie, where's your Jergens? My lotion? Here in the shower. In the shower? I use Wet Skin Moisturizer from Jergens. It's a lotion that works with water to instantly lock in moisture from my shower. My skin stays soft and luminous all day without a heavy, sticky feel. It's all-day moisture made simple.
Well, I did always teach you to enjoy the simple things in life. Can I borrow your Jergens Wet Skin Moisturizer?
Of course, Mom.
Jergens, let your beautiful shine.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay Culpepper with Miller's Tree Service. Summertime is here and storm season is right around the corner. We offer free consultations with a certified arborist where we meet with you and advise you on which trees are healthy, diseased, dead, or ones that may need trimming or even removal.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
This year's Kingfish Tournament is in the books. Although the weather wasn't the best, over 55 boaters registered for the tournament, and Sea Quarters Marina would like to thank everyone that came out. $50,000 was raised for leukemia research this year, which brings the total to $915,000 over 14 years. The winning kingfish, caught by Team Bill Collector, weighed 47 pounds, and the winning Spanish mackerel, caught by Team Neil Brooks Electric, weighed 5 pounds. Additionally, fishermen donated approximately 1,000 pounds, which will be sold to raise funds for leukemia research. Sea Quarters Marina hopes to see you at the 2018 Kingfish Tournament.
The big game is almost here, but you can't afford to go because ticket prices are through the roof. Don't worry, we got your back. Anytix.com offers you the lowest price tickets, guaranteed. Anytix.com doesn't mark up tickets. Anytix.com has zero. That's right, no buyer, seller, or service fees. For a small monthly fee of $9.99, you get access to all their wholesale tickets. Go to Anytix.com today. That's Anytix, T-I-X-X. Enter the coupon code ESPNTally and get 20% off your subscription. Anytix.com, changing the way you buy tickets.
Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. American history, practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass.
It's from School Days by the great Chuck Berry. He wrote and recorded so many great hits.
You mean like TNT Supercenter sells and services so many top golf cart brands with an enormous selection all under one roof?
TNT Supercenter customers can compare the top golf cart brands side by side. Club Car, Yamaha, Star EV, and the ultimate hunting vehicle to beat. TNT Supercenter has the largest selection of carts in the area. have pre-owned carts starting at just $19.99. New carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits, and now for a limited time, save 20% on all Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Well, I mean, I can't completely ignore a blockbuster trade in the NBA, so I waited to the final segment of the first hour, but it was exactly that, to see Kyrie Irving and Isaiah Thomas switch teams. It's it's kind of different than what you're accustomed to seeing, and quite frankly, even for somebody who's lukewarm on the NBA, especially in August, it was enough to raise eyebrows and to think about try to gauge who got the better end of that deal. But I do think a good article, if this is your cup of tea, and again, a lot of people in August don't care about this stuff, but plenty more do, and I can't ignore that kind of a blockbuster deal just because of the impact that it could have on both those franchises and the East moving forward for many years to come. We talk about the ripple effect. Kevin O'Connor did a good job of writing about it today. If you want a really thorough vetting of that trade, then I suggest you read Kevin O'Connor's article. I want to give credit where credit's due, but amongst the many aspects of that article that I found interesting and highlighted, at least for the purposes of our conversation, is, again, to me, the long-term impact that this may or may not have, obviously, for either of these two franchises. We can talk about whether or not this solidifies and stabilizes Cleveland's situation and LeBron James's future in Cleveland, or if, in fact, does the opposite. And same goes for Boston as to, did they empower Cleveland to find stability in a place where they didn't have any for the long term by making this trade? And O'Connor, I guess, suggests the ripple effects being that this trade could bring life to that franchise. Thomas could improve the locker room chemistry playing alongside a childhood AAU buddy and Kevin Love, and maybe Crowder will morph into a versatile two-way player. And it goes into all the different things that could really help LeBron re-up with the Cavs for another season or two, because the franchise's future looks a little bit brighter than it did presently. And then, of course, the deal could also just as easily blow up in Cleveland's face, leaving no doubt in LeBron's mind that he should bolt for L.A. after this season, which a lot of people speculate he may want to be doing. The Nets pick that they get, which, by the way, I thought was an interesting aspect of this trade, could end up falling outside the top 5. If that happens, it's bad news for Cleveland for more than the obvious reason. Most draft experts, of which I am not, admittedly, will tell you that this next draft is very, very, very top-heavy, and that you're going to want one of those first 3 or 4 picks. And if that pick fell outside that category, you might have a problem. It could be that Thomas fails to replicate the efficient production that he had in Boston, for example. And you can't really judge this trade long-term just now, and so that's what's going to be interesting, because a lot of these NBA-type deals, we don't know how they affect the East in this case, or these franchises for 4 and 5 years to come. So you don't get things like this typically in August, blockbuster deals like this in the midst of August involving this many players that have an impact upwards of 7 to 10 years in the future, but we got one last night.
Yeah, for me, one thing I'd say is Cleveland didn't have many options here, and for the little options that Cleveland had, I think this is a home run.
Oh, it's a huge home run. They were dead in the water.
You've given yourself a chance to at least put together some pieces for the future if LeBron leaves. I think he's going anyway, no matter what, because LeBron is a very proud individual, and given that most of the headlines immediately after the finals were that Cleveland is doing something that LeBron does not want Cleveland to do, from a front office standpoint, the situation with the general manager.
Yeah, Altman comes in.
And then they bring up some of the personnel decisions that Cleveland has made in the last year, where LeBron wanted X player to be re-signed or to be let go, and they ignore his advice. I think he's just going to want to take it to the West Coast. I honestly believe that's going to happen either way. So, given that, Kyrie Irving doesn't want to be in your franchise. He wants to be gone. He wants to have at least some more control of his own destiny, okay? He doesn't want to be here, so I got to get rid of him. LeBron's probably leaving too. What can I do to at least make the best of the situation? I can get rid of one chip, bring back a young guard who has some real ability, and then hopefully get a top 5 pick in the upcoming draft.
Pick. That's right.
That's the best they could do with the situation they have.
Kobe Altman is the new GM of which you're referencing, and if I'm that guy, privately, I'm dancing in circles with my hands aloft because I was bent over a barrel in an impossible situation with a disgruntled superstar. I had no real leverage at that point. The whole world knows he wants out, so what am I going to do to try to bargain something that is reasonable in return for a guy that's disgruntled and holding me over a barrel? And I get back a reasonably decent star who, if healthy, if that hip's okay, could very well prove instrumental in helping LeBron James sustain his level of excellence along with the rest of that team. And an efficiency standpoint could be somewhere in the same category. And, yeah, if I do get a top 5 pick. Also, by the way, LeBron James, who was mad about the previous GM leaving, is watching every move I make as the new GM, and the first big move I have to make is one that is a home run, universally lauded as a home run. Yeah, that's a big damn to-do for Cleveland.
Yeah, I get it that Cleveland also has to sign Isaiah Thomas in the coming years, but still, I mean, Kyrie told you he's not coming back, so you have to go make something out of nothing here. And I find it interesting because I heard this has been in the works, some kind of deal for Kyrie for, the better part of a month now. Mm-hmm. And I can recall when good old Wendy was on ESPN Radio, Brian Windhorst, and he was talking about the nature of a deal and would Boston actually be a fit. At the time, it wasn't thought to be a popular fit for Cleveland to trade with Boston. And his response was something to the effect of, well, Boston could play for now and go get a player like Kyrie Irving, but they have a long-term plan. They don't feel pressed. They know their day is coming. And if they have to wait another year, an extra year or two for it, they know that the window is going to be open for a pretty good long time.
Unless Irving opts out.
Well, unless he opts out. No, but it was even before Irving was going to be traded. He's saying, I don't think they'll force the issue here. I don't think Boston is going to force it for Kyrie Irving just to go try and win now because they have everything laid out for a master plan of long-term proportions. So I find it interesting that if that is all true, that Boston did eventually say, you know what, let's go get Kyrie Irving.
Well, and also here's the thing: the time to pounce to maybe unseat LeBron James could be in Danny Ainge's eyes. Look, I bring in the offseason Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. I said at the end of last year, we've got real good players. We've had a good year, but if you're going to unseat LeBron James, you have to have some great players. Well, he's got a couple. He just went out and got a couple.
Right, send him packing out west, and then we can still, hatch our master plan over here on the east.
Kind of interesting the way that worked. I mean, it was well done, and he's a smart guy. And anyhow, just not a lot of time to talk NBA in August. Gotcha. But you can't ignore a deal of that magnitude, and that is an interesting one and fun to speculate on. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
At Carrier and at Barano Heating and Air. Call 580-4029 or visit baranoac.com. Florida license number CAC 057652.
Wish summer would last forever? Ask Sherwin-Williams and save 30% on paints and stains during the Endless Summer Sale, August 24th through September 4th. With colors like Picnic, Pressed Flower, and August Moon, you'll be surrounded by summer long after the leaves have changed. Your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams paint store is right around the corner. Find it at sherwinwilliams.com/save. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Your mobile company said you were getting unlimited data, but what they really gave you was some limited data that slows down once you've hit, you guessed it, a limit. With Simple Mobile, you get truly unlimited high-speed data with nationwide coverage on a blazing fast 4G LTE network for just $50 a month with no contract. Mobile simple with Simple Mobile.
Available nationwide at Best Buy and authorized retailers. Video typically streams at DVD quality. A month equals 30 days. Always refer to the latest terms and conditions of service at simplemobile.com.
And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl because we're the
Houston Oilers. Houston Oilers.
Hey, watch
Houston Oilers all the way.
Jeff, I will fight you.
Houston Oilers. That's their song. Why
No. First of all, they never went to a Super Bowl. It's our song. We're the only undefeated team.
Oh,
we're the only one that takes the ball, go to goal like no one's ever seen.
You and the rest of Miami holding on to the past, my friend. But you know what? September the 10th, it's on. Tampa Bay at Miami.
Not a chance. You know what that first loss feels like every year because you've never gone undefeated.
Houston Oilers.
All right, let's go. Dry-aged ribeye steaks. What do you say?
I'm in. Let's bet.
It's on.
Is Bumpa's going to be open yet?
Shh, Jeff. They don't know about that one yet.
It's coming soon. All right, Bucks.
Let's go fish.
Good times. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. American history, practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass.
It's from School Days by the great Chuck Berry. He wrote and recorded so many great hits.
You mean like TNT Supercenter sells and services so many top golf cart brands with an enormous selection all under one roof?
TNT Supercenter customers can compare the top golf cart brands side by side. Club Car, Yamaha, Star EV, and the ultimate hunting vehicle to beat. TNT Supercenter has the largest selection of carts in the area. Pre-owned carts starting at just $19.99. New carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits, and now for a limited time, save 20% on all Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. Billy Payne is retiring as chairman of Augusta National Golf Club and the Masters. The 69-year-old Payne held the job for 11 years. He'll be replaced by Fred Ridley, who's been on the tournament's competition committee. The Cleveland Browns will start rookie quarterback DeShone Kizer in Saturday's preseason game against the Buccaneers. Coach Hugh Jackson says Kizer has a chance to earn the starting job to open the regular season. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Brock Osweiler is not expected to play in that game on Saturday. Ohio State backup quarterback Joe Burrow is out indefinitely after breaking a bone in his throwing hand during Monday's practice. That likely means redshirt freshman Dwayne Haskins will be the backup to J.T. Barrett to start the season.
It's time to start getting the absolute best sleep of your life. Check out Reverie and see why so many former Sleep Number and Tempur-Pedic owners are making the switch to a better night's sleep. Go to tryrev.com/ESPN. Tryrev.com/ESPN.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Hope you're well. You know how ESPN sends out their little nuggets for game notes. We talk about this sometimes on the air. There'll be game previews, preseason games, and things like that. But it was really, really cool today getting into the office and kind of right around lunchtime going through, catching up on some emails. Tom, you do the same thing. We get these all day long, and you got stuff from corporate, you got stuff local, you got stuff from people within the building, you got listeners, you got all these different things. So you're trying to catch up, and then bam, attached notes for the first college football games, packets to be sent to our affiliates, ESPN Stats and Info, with a thank you very much.
Hello, my friend, hello.
Yeah, man, that was, I went, oh, look at you. Look at you, beautiful Stats and Info. Way to go, ESPN. I think I will click on these. I'll read about these previews of games that ordinarily don't exactly move the needle, but when it's the return of college football, they feel very, very important.
I like how they noted them as week 0.
Yeah, week 0.
This is the
week 0 action.
Soft open.
Yeah, is what we got for you. A little something here just to kind of float the boat here, make it happen. Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. It's funny, too, big picture stuff about college football. Every year, every offseason, we all do this. We were talking after Florida State beat Michigan in the Orange Bowl. First show we did after that, you're coming to grips. You're helping each other with the onset of depression. I mean, we kind of all talk it out. Now, granted, I've got this mic, but I always feel like we're talking together, you and me in the car there.
You destroyed the only thing I love.
I do. I always feel like, okay, so now we're going to go ahead and work this out. I mean, it's going to be tough. Nobody, you know what? We have to call it for what it is. Very difficult time for all of us right now. Let's not hide from that. But you got to understand that things will work itself out. It's going to be okay. I feel like we have those conversations constantly. And then, day by day, it gets a little easier. It's further in our rear view mirror. We're still now then only casually mentioning the games from a year ago. Maybe every now and then you'll talk about, hey, I had a chance the other night. They were re-showing such and such, replaying such and such. And you've kind of segued on into baseball, and then slowly but surely we build into all kinds of other things. And we all know that they're just holding it down until college football, at least around these parts, until college football returns. And then the first indicators. And we're looking for any signs, buddy, anything. The top 25 games of the year being replayed on ESPNU.
Phil Steele's magazine.
Yeah, this is the final one. This email that we get as an affiliate with ESPN, Week 0 college football game notes as compiled by Gil and Zach and Paul and Rob and Jason and edited by Paul Kinney and Jason Sterrett. We say thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. I'm just sitting here at work at lunchtime staring at the game notes for number 19 South Florida at San Jose State, this Saturday night at 7:30.
Wow. This Saturday night at 7:30.
This will mark the first meeting between these two schools. Some trends to keep an eye on. South Florida 15-5 all-time in season openers. They've won 3 straight. And for San Jose State, 6-61 all-time versus AP top 25 opponents. Last win? That's right. It occurred in 2013. We all remember the big upset over then number 16, Fresno State. Marks the second time that South Florida will begin a season ranked in the AP poll. The Bulls were also ranked number 19 back in 2008, a season in which they climbed all the way to number 10 after starting 5-0 before losing 5 of their final 8 games. South Florida has scored at least 30 points in 17 straight games, by far the longest active streak in the FBS. Western Kentucky is second with 12. San Jose State ranks 103rd in the FBS in opponents scoring last season, allowing nearly 35 points a game. Betting lines. Let's take a gander.
Thanks, Jeff. Coming up next on College Game Day Radio.
Charlie Strong hopes to find the success he enjoyed at Louisville, where he reached 4 straight bowl games from 2010 to 2013 and won 11 games or more in each of his final 2 years. Isn't that just fun?
Well, that's happening this Saturday. I mean, it's Wednesday. That's practically tomorrow, is it not? Today's Wednesday.
Very much feels like it's tomorrow, Tom. Yes.
We've already hit the apex of the hill, man. It is downhill this week.
And I'll note everybody's favorite power index, ESPN's Football Power Index. If you're wondering about that game, South Florida is one of 4 FBS teams that is favored in all 12 of their regular season games before they begin. Alabama, Ohio State, and Wisconsin are the others. And that leads me to this, the tragedy that is Wisconsin's easy-ass schedule, avoiding anybody who's any good in that conference and playing what reasonably difficult games they have in the Big Ten at home. So when you saw the preseason AP poll, the AP poll, if you will, and the coaches poll, Tom, when you took a gander at those polls, did you think to yourself,
the coaches poll,
man, Wisconsin residing comfortably under that tent of suspicion, I will kick you out of my party. I'm not a believer. I don't think you've changed your ways. I think you are who I thought you were last year and the year prior and all the years that led up to those.
And Wisconsin says, nay, nay.
No, look at our schedule.
We're riding high on the poll.
We've got bona fides right here in our hands. Invitation from your friends, not mine.
If you had to put somebody in the tent of suspicion, go with Rosen there and UCLA, that kid.
Every year.
Every year. But we're up high on the poll.
Oregon State, Colorado State, Saturday at 2:30 in the afternoon. Just the third all-time matchup between the schools and first since 1975. The teams split with 2 previous meetings, Colorado State winning in 1975, Oregon State way back in 1962. This will be the first time that Oregon State has ever visited Colorado State, who opens a brand new stadium this year. Jack Luton, a JUCO transfer, has been announced as Oregon State's starting quarterback. Luton played in 6 games, 1 start with Idaho in 2015, completing 62% of his passes for 1 touchdown with 4 INTs. That doesn't bode well. After regaining the starting job in Week 7 for the Rams, Nick Stevens posted an 88.1 total QBR, the 5th best in FBS over that stretch. Colorado State scored 44.3 points per game in those 7 contests after averaging just 24 in the first 6. Colorado State enters the season having scored more than 45 points in each of their last 4 games, the longest active streak in the FBS.
Okay.
I just learned something. Thanks to these beautiful damn game notes. As compiled by ESPN Stats and Info, and as sent to us today as the final stamp that indeed college football begins this week. Woo! Woo! By the way, do you have your notes for Stanford Rice? Did you go ahead and peruse those?
They were atop. This is not a chronological list. They figure that people want to talk about Stanford Rice more than they do South Florida San Jose State. Okay.
10 p.m. kickoff there from Sydney, Australia. They'll be in Australia as they were a year ago. And last year, Stanford blew out Rice 41-17. Previous meeting. Of course, the superstar that is Christian McCaffrey, no longer at Stanford. Keep that in mind for you fine folks who like to bet illegally or legally for that matter. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
We believe food should nourish you and help you think. It should help you feel calm, clear-headed, and strong. It should help you do more, sleep better, and wake up happier. That's food that lives up to its name. We believe in real food. Whole Foods Market.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Charlie is all over the place. He's so unorganized. How do I get him to be more responsible with his academics? I've tried everything.
Hi, I'm Lance Davis. Let Engaged Academics help your child learn how to work through these common issues. Visit engagedacademics.org for more information. That's engagedacademics.org.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world.
Roger that. Get charged up for what's coming next, anytime, anywhere, with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
I'm Fred Conrad, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I believe your freedom is too important to trust to an inexperienced lawyer. For over 20 years, I've successfully defended those accused of DUI, drug offenses, and a host of other misdemeanor and felony offenses. My office is located in my hometown, and as a third-generation Tallahassee native, former local prosecutor and law enforcement instructor, I have the skills and experience necessary to handle your case. When you call my office, you will talk to me, and I'll personally handle your case. So don't blow it. Call me at 222-4005 or go to fredconrad.com.
This year's Kingfish Tournament is in the books. Although the weather wasn't the best, over 55 boaters registered for the tournament, and Sea Quarters Marina would like to thank everyone that came out. $50,000 was raised for leukemia research this year, which brings the total to $915,000 over 14 years. The winning kingfish, caught by Team Bill Collector, weighed 47 pounds, and the winning Spanish mackerel, caught by Team Neil Brooks Electric, weighed 5 pounds. Additionally, fishermen donated approximately 1,000 pounds, which will be sold to raise funds for leukemia research. Sea Quarters Marina hopes to see you at the 2018 Kingfish Tournament.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good song. I always let the Jayhawks play a little longer, I think. What if we took the time to gauge which songs I allow to play longer than others? Obviously, some of that has to do with how they fit within whatever the talking point's going to be or the bumper necessary at the time, or how long the previous segment was. So there are a lot of factors to look into here, Tom. But I would just think if all things were equal, I let the Jayhawks play a little longer than I do most.
Well, and there are some songs that you can't resist but joining in with the lyrics, too. That's a separate list of its own.
It is.
Like Beastie Boys would be one of those.
Sure. That's always.
Always.
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
It just grabs you. It brings you with you. It's time to go. We got to do this thing. Especially if we're... well, there's 3 or 4 that would be. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So I was just thinking about which games last year stood out to me as the most fun to watch and the most exciting that are, poised to be, on the docket this year. And, while I was doing that, while I was going through the games and refreshing memory of players like Barkley at Penn State and others, it hit me. Saquon Barkley is back for Penn State and is really good, as is their quarterback, and maybe as is that team. And it should be noted that game in the Rose Bowl kicked ass. Something about the Rose Bowl, right?
It does.
There have been some. I was going through the mental Rolodex there, going through the games in the Rose Bowl. There have been games between teams frequently in the Rose Bowl that I really don't care anything about, just because of regionality. They're just not part of the area where I grew up, so I kind of keep an eye on them because they're part of college football, but it's not something I care all that much about. I don't care all that much about Michigan or Michigan State or Ohio State, other than where do they fit in the big picture in this year's top 25, and are they in our way? That's how I typically look at them. Are they going to be a problem? Are they in our way? But having said all of that, damn it, man, that Rose Bowl every year.
We're 1 for 2 in that regard. We had the BCS title game, of course, which was a classic.
All-time classic.
All-timer. And then the next year, of course, it was not a classic at all. In fact, it might have inspired people in the stadium to go get more, IPAs or some such thing.
Well,
West
and also
Coast
to
IPAs.
eat the food from that.
Perhaps one person in particular, yes.
They were having a big to-do down below there where we went.
In the VIP tailgate area.
And we were like, hey, why don't we get us some food?
It was clearly an Oregon event, and the Oregon fans were too happy to notice or care. I
don't think they did. Yeah. There were like 4 Knowles. There's shrimp. Look at that.
2 press members, there are maybe 4 other Knowles.
Well, I'm saying, and one of the Knowles noticed us. Hey, tough game, huh? Oh, yes, to say the least. Brutal. Last segment, I think it was last segment, referencing the Michigan.
Might have been a couple ago, yeah, Chris Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans is a player, and we noted that at the Orange Bowl. But just thinking about, they were talking about this. The Talking Heads last night on College Football Live were discussing for ESPN, and that's a good show, by the way, even though there are any number of utterances that might move you to anger while watching those kinds of shows. I think those guys do a good job by and by. And I'll just say this. Watching it last night, I was kind of struck on the differing opinions of really what these top 10 teams are, but in particular, there is a lot of talk. You know, I said yesterday I'm of the mindset that Florida's going to struggle this year. And Luke Del Rio was out there starting with the ones today.
McElwain came out and said that all three are going to get time in their first game. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Against Michigan. All three.
That's what CBS Sports said. So, I didn't read the actual quote, so not to fall victim to the same thing that most people do.
If you have three, you have none. If you have three, you have none. Man, again, objectively, I'd tell you, I think we got a problem there in Gainesville. I think that's not – this season seems to be setting up to go south. But having said that, if you beat Michigan, obviously that could be the impetus for a season that surprises, maybe 9 wins, something along those lines. And, it's how you win those 9 games. It's what you look like winning those 9 games. There'll be a lot of question marks, but I think the offense is setting up to struggle yet again, and that's, again, his side of the ball and what he was known for. And if that happens for another year, which has now been going on however many years, a long time since before he got there, certainly it's not all his fault. But as that defense begins to wane, and it will be good, and they still have good players, but just not the stockpile of great players that they've had for many years now in Florida. If the defense wanes at all and the offense continues to be middling at best, it just seems like that's going to be a pretty mediocre campaign. All the more reason that they have to get off on the right foot and beat Michigan. And I think both fan bases, as we look at the other big game on that Saturday, leading up to the, obviously, if you will, highlight of the day, Florida State, Alabama, both fan bases go into that game recognizing just how important it is and probably very, very nervous because they both have huge question marks.
Yeah, if we're playing the Randy Shannon game, which is a game we used to play at the old place of business, who are we rooting for as Florida State fans this season? You know what I mean? Like in a game like this where it could put you on a hot seat or take you off a hot seat and prolong a career, who are we rooting for in this Michigan-Florida game?
Well, we're always going to root for Michigan in this game, but one thing I will tell you, I thought at the time that Florida made the decision they did, I thought it was a good hire. And on the one hand, before we paint this as a disaster, the man has guided them to back-to-back Eastern Division championships.
Through the gauntlet, yes.
They have found a way to navigate those choppy waters and come out on top. Find land. The SEC championship game. Now, granted, they got off the boat, probably beaten to death by coconuts. But that said, they found their way to the promised land temporarily before getting beat up. I think Georgia overtakes him this year, and the heat on McElwain grows. But I feel like it hasn't been a disaster. They just can't find a quarterback. And if you start with Del Rio,
again,
that's not exactly inspiring a lot of hope.
Do we want Jim to stay right where he is? You want Jim McElwain right where he is for the next 2 or 3 years? Or would you rather see Florida fall flat on its face this season to the tune of 6 or 7 losses and put them in a rough bind come December?
I don't think, looking at their schedule, I don't know how they lose that many games. I mean, do you? I mean, we've gone through that.
We've done it before.
We could do.
we did it for them. Yeah.
You
revised W's
you
and L's?
Want to do W's and L's for Florida?
I can. I got the button right here.
Well, all right. Let's do it. Go ahead. Cue it up. I got you.
L's.
Wins.
All right. How you doing?
Losses.
Damn it! We lost. We f***ing super lost, man.
Where do we triumph? Where doth thou fall? I find this very difficult. I think this is more difficult, believe it or not, than ours. And I don't mean their schedule. I mean prognosticating Florida. I'm torn on this team. I think they have more offensive talent than they've had, although their most dynamic player is suspended for the first game. But Michigan, September the 2nd, I'm going to take Florida.
Still?
I still take Florida.
What in the world?
What is it with you in Michigan, man? They're not going to line up and run the ball against Florida. They're not.
Okay, I would look at it this way. You're giving Alabama credit for two reasons, right? We're going to be facing them the same day at 8 p.m. One of them is that they recruit so many good players that it's easier to replace and replenish. But the second part is Saban. Saban has them ready for week one, historically, in a way that's uncomfortable if you look at the scores after a while. I mean, who are you really going to take in a battle of coaches? I know we beat Harbaugh down for not delivering on the promise that everybody else made for him, but are you taking Harbaugh or McElwain in a game where neither team has too many superstars?
I would take Harbaugh over Kirk Ferentz, and Iowa beat Michigan. I mean, that doesn't always play the role. You got to have players, man. Michigan lost everybody.
But they've out-recruited Florida since Harbaugh's gotten there. And they've got the best player on the field, my man Evans. That's right. Callaway is, hey, man, that bum suspended yet again. And you got 3 quarterbacks? I mean, how's Florida going to get to 20 points?
How's Michigan going to get to 20 points?
With Evans.
We do this again. No, but he can't line up and run the football with no real threat down the field. No.
You still think Florida's defense is that good?
I think it's good. Yeah, I think it's real good. I'm taking Florida.
I'm taking Michigan.
By the way, you're going to make me do the Michigan W's and L's here in a second, too. That's
Well, it could be a different conversation for, a different game, but, I mean, good Lord.
I don't think either one of them score. I think we go to overtime tied at 0.
Well, the Beamer special.
Hands off. Tied at nothing. Heading into overtime. All right, so I've got Florida eking out a win over Michigan. You got Michigan big over Florida, apparently.
We'll see if Florida fans get as mad as me.
Can we big board this thing?
Oh,
here?
hell yeah. Let's do it.
Let's big board this thing. I've got Florida over Michigan. You got Michigan. Do you have Michigan big over Florida?
Well, let's take a look at the number, and I'll give you an educated guess.
All right, so 1-0 Florida. Then Northern Colorado, 2-0. Then they're hosting Tennessee, 3-0. Then they're
1-2.
Oh, you have this as a disaster.
They don't have a quarterback.
It's going downhill in a hurry. So I've got them 3-0. You got them 1-2. We could not be more opposite. At Kentucky, well, by law, you have to pick Florida against Kentucky. You know the rules.
Yes, history.
It has to happen. 4-0. Florida's rolling big. Vanderbilt, 5-0 Gators.
3-2. They're feeling better.
All right. LSU. That is a toughie.
Uh-oh. I think LSU's going to come into Gainesville, revenge on the mind, and take care of business.
6-0 Gators. Rolling.
Hello, 3-3.
Texas A&M. I can never take the fraud that is Texas A&M. Florida is 7-0, ranked in the top 10.
That game's in Gainesville, so there's your 4-3 Gators at the break.
At Missouri, I don't know.
Well, you skipped Georgia. Hang on.
Oh, sorry. They lose to Georgia. They're going to lose to Georgia.
All right.
You're right.
So they're 4-4.
7-1.
It's a really important month of November coming if they want to make a bowl.
Then they beat Missouri. They beat South Carolina. They beat UAB, and they don't score again against Florida State. So I have them at 10-2. I don't think they'll go 10-2. I think I'm nuts. I think there's no way Florida goes 10-2. I think at best they go 9-3. So I've got to find a loss somewhere else in there. It could be any of the teams that I mentioned, not named Northern Colorado or UAB. Literally, it could be any of those teams, and I admit that. So if they lose to Michigan, they're going to go 8-4. If they beat Michigan, they're going to go 9-3 and be right there in the running for the East, buddy.
They will be. I got them at 7-5, but keep an eye on that South Carolina game. That has 9-6 written all over it, especially if Florida has lost all morale.
Listen, again, that's why, and all jokes aside, and I told you I struggle with this. I could see them being exactly what you have them being. I could also see them, outside chance, because the schedule does seem to set up okay for them. I could see them winning 9-10 games, and I don't think they're that good doing that. But let me tell you something. That's partly because I don't think, obviously, Tennessee, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Missouri, or South Carolina are any good. Basically, they're in a bad conference. So what are you going to do? Now, that sounds absurd to people, but I think just, again, erasing your mindset of the past and looking at those SEC teams for what they are, middling. Tennessee and Kentucky and Vanderbilt and A&M and Missouri and South Carolina aren't any good. They're not.
That is correct.
They're just not.
By definition.
They're not any good. So you're just falling into some damn wins. It's like when we play Wake and Duke and BC, you're just like, well, I mean, you're going to win those games. You just are.
Yeah, the year we went 7-6, we had to lean on a couple of those.
Oh, big time. That big Maryland win was huge. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Best factory truck warranty, 5 years or 100,000 miles, bumper to bumper. And as always, our exclusive lifetime warranty. And they wonder why Tallahassee is a Nissan town, a Kraft Nissan town. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Are you wanting to raise some extra cash fast? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need to clean out that garage full of stuff you never use? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need a newer car or truck and don't want to break the bank? Think Thrifty Nickel. Buying or selling, your best bet is Thrifty Nickel. All ads appear in print and online for maximum results. Place your ad today and ask for their guaranteed results special. Call 385-0505. Get your free copy of American Classifieds, available at hundreds of locations throughout the greater Tallahassee area.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. Thirsty? They have the Lucky Sevens, $7 domestic pitchers after 7 p.m., 7 days a week, $7.95. Daily specials. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill. 3 locations to choose from. 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
If you haven't stopped into Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out.
Hey, it's me, Courtney. Hey, it's me, Marissa. Last but not least, I'm Kim, and we're the girls from the Fourth Quarter.
Okay, girls, there are lots of great nights to stop in at the Fourth Quarter, including Monday, where it's happy hour all day, including 2-for-1 Wells. There's Tuesday night trivia with Professor Jimmy, where you can win money. What other night should we stop by the Fourth Quarter?
It's Kim again. Join me Saturday and Sunday mornings for Bubbles and Brunch from 7 to 2. $18.99, all you can drink mimosas and Bloody Marys, and it includes breakfast.
Hey, Riss here. Come join me for lunch. We have over 20 lunch specials for just $7.50, and that includes a drink.
I'm Courtney. Visit me on Monday nights when we have 2-for-1 Wells, calls, and domestic drafts all night.
Don't miss out on the girls of the Fourth Quarter. Pick your favorite night and stop in. Say hi to the girls at 2033 North Monroe Street, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill, Tallahassee's favorite hangout.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility, says it's summertime, and summertime is the time to go green and save energy. Here are a few simple things you can do right now that will save energy while you try to keep out of the summer heat. First thing, get your air conditioner checked out and change your air filters. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how much energy and money you can save. Going away from home on vacation? Why not purchase a programmable thermostat to regulate your air conditioner while you're not at home? Talk about an investment that'll pay energy savings dividends. Make an appointment right away for a free energy audit from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. You never know how much energy you can save until you do it. The City of Tallahassee is offering insulation grants. Why not apply for one? Did you know that the City of Tallahassee offers loans to help with the purchase of solar water heaters? Visit talgov.com/YOU for information on loans and rebates. So stay cool, go green, and save energy all summer long. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. Billy Payne is retiring as chairman of Augusta National Golf Club and the Masters. The 69-year-old Payne held the job for 11 years. He'll be replaced by Fred Ridley, who's been on the tournament's competition committee. The Cleveland Browns will start rookie quarterback DeShone Kizer in Saturday's preseason game against the Buccaneers. Coach Hugh Jackson says Kizer has a chance to earn the starting job to open the regular season. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Brock Osweiler is not expected to play in that game on Saturday. Ohio State backup quarterback Joe Burrow is out indefinitely after breaking a bone in his throwing hand during Monday's practice. That likely means redshirt freshman Dwayne Haskins will be the backup to J.T. Barrett to start the season.
It's time to start getting the absolute best sleep of your life. Check out Reverie and see why so many former Sleep Number and Tempur-Pedic owners are making the switch to a better night's sleep. Go to tryrev.com/ESPN. Tryrev.com/ESPN.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You know, we do have access, and we'll have to do this, and probably will next week. But we do know folks, and I've worked with some guys that cover Alabama. And so next week, I'm going to call upon their expertise as one of the rival sites that covers Alabama. And have on some guys, ask how that camp's gone. You know, that whole question for Alabama, you know, and if I just look at it from the other perspective, like, what do I most want to know about Alabama? It all centers around Jalen Hurts in the passing game. And I know they're going to line up and be able to run the ball. I don't know how effectively they'll run it against Florida State's pretty stout defensive line and size and depth. But they are always able, even against the best defenses, to muster a running game of some kind. They're committed to it is why. You know, it's like LSU is committed to a certain way of playing. And now LSU tends to be able to run the ball decently, except for against Alabama, because they don't have a passing attack, and so then Alabama just puts 11 people up there and says, "I dare you to throw it." But you would have to play Alabama that way to some degree, and I am kind of curious. I got to know, is he any better at all consistently throwing the football? And if he's not, then yeah, man, I'll go back to what I said in the first hour today, just easing some of the tension from yesterday, not backing off of what I said about picking Alabama. I still am. But a way Florida State could win the game, and it wouldn't be all that stunning, is, again, if he's not much better as a passer and you're able to limit the running game and limit him in the run game in particular, then, yeah, you're going to seriously neuter Alabama's offensive attack. And if he's not better, and he was a true freshman a year ago, but if he's not better in the passing game, then obviously that means Alabama could end up losing more than one game.
Well, don't you think that's the similarity here between the two teams and their goals defensively against the opposition's offense? You know, for Florida State, it's, all right, Jalen Hurts, can you actually make the reads? Can you actually make the reads down the field to beat us? Do you have the touch, the accuracy, the decision-making to beat a back end of a defense like Florida State's? Because we don't think you do. So we're going to attack the line of scrimmage with fury. And on the same, coin, other side, for Alabama, it's, all right, Florida State's offensive line, are you good enough? Really? You think you can handle what we bring to the table? across the board, the size, the speed, the strength that we have in our front seven.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid we bring an 8th or a 9th guy.
Which I think they will.
Okay. But again, there's the similarity. It's, all right, the defense may be pinning their ears back on both sides of the ball, challenging the offense, challenging Jalen Hurts and challenging Fisher and DeAndre Francois, both, to make enough plays to have him back off.
The question yesterday, I alluded to the fact that I watched College Football Live last night, and it was just cool to have that back in your life. Even when you are angry about things that they might say or disagree, it's just good to have the discussion and talking points out there. The question brought up when discussing this very thing was, do you trust Florida State's defense? And in this case, I would say, do you trust Florida State's defense more than you trust Jalen Hurts on the other side? And I would say yes. That part of it, I'm not real sure Jalen Hurts is going to be worlds better as a passer in just a year. But he certainly was good enough to put them in a position to be mere seconds away from an undefeated season culminating in a national championship just a year ago. That's my problem with Alabama is this. They didn't have a guy who was great under center throwing the football from the pocket all year, and they were seconds away from having an undefeated season end in a national championship victory. Now, I know not all those games were against the caliber of opponents that Florida State is. None of them were, except for the one against Clemson in which they lost. And that's the hope that Florida State is hanging their hat on.
Right. And again, I can see the counterpoint here, not backing off my stance that, hey, we got ourselves a legit chance to win this football game, and I wouldn't be stunned if we did so. But at the same time, you look at the formula that Clemson utilized in that game.
Right. And are we willing to play up tempo and run the hell out of DeAndre Francois?
Right, exactly. I mean, what kind of game are we trying to win here? Are we trying to win a game where we control field position and we dictate terms in that sense on our way to 24 to 27 points output? Or are we trying to win this game running 80 to 85 plays on offense and we want to score into the low to mid-30s? I mean, Jimbo talks about it, complementary football. He talks about it all the time. And this year I think is going to be so big. Once again, I'm a broken record about it. But for the hidden yards that special teams provides, the ability to make a 45 to 52-yard kick, can you actually convert that into 3 points? These little details are going to matter so much more if we're going to be relying on our defense to win ball games. So when Jimbo is thinking and talking about complementary football, what does that mean? Does that mean he's like Ira said on Monday when Ira was on the 4 o'clock hour, he's not going to be afraid to turn it loose with the offense because he's not worried about the defense? Or does he see the offense in such a way that, man, against these first 3 defensive lines we play in September, I better batten down the hatches here and let's try to win this game 24-17.
Okay, so when I have my doubts about the game, it's this. Clemson ran 99 plays against Alabama. 99 plays. It took 99 plays for them to win on basically the final play of the game. If you run 99 plays on somebody, it's usually a pretty one-sided affair. Unless both teams are just not bothering, and you got a Big 12 Classic these days. 99 plays. They wore Alabama out, plain and simple. Prior to, you go into that game, I think Alabama, if I remember reading this correctly, Alabama averaged facing 60 to 65 plays a game going into that championship game. When you watched this contest, Alabama was in total control. They missed a total. This was another number I remember reading after that game and kind of in prepping for this game for us. We're starting to stockpile info for the pregame show. Alabama, one of the things Alabama does well is they tackle. They really tackle exceptionally well. They missed a total of like 90 tackles last year. 17 of them came in the national championship game, and the vast majority of those came in the fourth quarter when they were so fatigued. You go back through that contest, it's crazy. I mean, basically Alabama's got this game won except for 99 plays, and they're worn out. Now, the other side of that, and this is the part that – and so I guess why do I say that? Is Jimbo going to play at a crazy pace? Is he going to be willing to embrace that that's what has to happen here, along with running DeAndre Francois? And is that what has to happen? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I'll concede. I don't know. That's up to him. He's paid over $5 million a year to make those decisions. He's looking at the tape, figuring out what's best suited for them.
Well, and at some point it turns into a slugfest in that national title game in the second half. So, the plays rack up pretty quickly because it's a manic, third and fourth quarter once Clemson climbs that mountain, gets all the way back.
Well, yeah, and if Jalen Hurts doesn't have the 30-yard run with just over 2 minutes to play, and that's a drive in which he basically just does whatever. It's him running around. And
they ran a trick play, too.
Yeah, and it's also the frustrating aspect of dealing with a guy that is that talented, that special as a runner at that position, because he had a knack for that last year as a true freshman. He would have, when they had to have a drive, he would utilize his legs in those situations and look more like a running back than a quarterback and make those big plays. The other statistic that stood out last year in the national championship game was that they were 2 of 15 on third downs. Alabama was. And when you have to throw the ball to convert and make plays in the passing game, Jalen Hurts struggled to do that. So getting Alabama behind the chains and making him throw the football to convert third downs is the key here for Florida State's defense. And now that sounds like an obvious one. It's easier said than done. But obviously that is something Clemson's defense did do. And yet, you hold Alabama to 2 of 15 on third downs and 12 straight failed third down conversions for Alabama in this game at the end of the game. 12 straight they failed on third down for Alabama. 99 plays run by Clemson's offense. All of these statistics come up to this. Clemson has to win the game with less than 10 seconds to play. That's crazy. So they did all of those things right.
Again,
you see why I get nervous about the game? Do you see why I say, look, we could be really good, even very good, like college football playoff good. And it's understandable that one would be apprehensive in a game like this because all of those things played in Clemson's favor, and they had Deshaun Watson, who I dare say is better than DeAndre Francois.
One thing I'd offer is, they were toe-to-toe with Alabama 2 years in a row. You know what I mean? Again, even Ole Miss gave Alabama a run last year in September, put up a ton of points early, and then
gave us collapsing. A run too.
Well, yeah, but you see what I'm saying? Again, it's just I don't think they're far and away. You have to do something absurd to beat them.
I'm not saying they're unbeatable. Clearly, they are. They lost that game last year. It was the only game they lost, but they did lose it. And previous to that, all of these runs, 10 straight years in which at one point Alabama's ranked number 1, which is an amazing run. They've lost games. We see that it happens. Yes, people rise up and beat them. I'm not calling them invincible. It's not like when ESPN, once again, I'll get yelled at for taking a shot, but when they did that stupid-ass thing with Southern Cal, if Southern Cal had played and they named every other champion that ever existed, what would have happened, and could they beat NFL teams? I'm not trying to be an absurdist in that. I'm just noting that, God, even with all of the things that Clemson did right in this game, they still had to win on the final.
The way they call their offense, Clemson, it's going to be obviously different than what we do. Even if Jimbo says we're going to run up tempo, we're not running 90 plays in this game against Alabama. But at the same time, we could run something faster than we're used to seeing.
I think two things I do believe, if we're projecting here, Tom. I do think that we're going to run a little bit more up-tempo this season because I think Jimbo trusts his defense more.
Well, and frankly, though, if I'm Alabama, I do the same thing. So we just talked about the similarities from the defensive perspective going against Alabama and Florida State's offense. Well, what if you're the two offenses facing Alabama and Florida State's defenses? All right, Florida State wants to run a little bit more up-tempo. If they do, you'd argue, because that's the thing that consistently has at least put Alabama in a standing 8 count over the years. They'll beat you any way you want to play it consistently.
Because they have better players typically.
But the thing that puts them at most risk tends to be a higher amount of plays run by the opponent. At the same time, if you're looking at Alabama's offense against Florida State's defense, what's the thing that's given us fits here for years? Up-tempo. We're not organized enough.
Well,
we don't get our signals in quick enough.
And that gets back to the distrust right now that I have, given what played out a year ago. But it doesn't mean that they haven't remedied that problem, true. So that's something that, okay, if you're going to take the assumption that Florida State has fixed what ailed them, and the evidence is winning 7 of your last 8 games, albeit against less dynamic offenses, but really Florida State's defense shined in those moments and made big plays when they had to, and certainly they simplified things and were able to win with just the better player. Sort of the theory being that you don't have to have an overly complicated defense if you have better players at each position.
Well, the thing to remember about talking strategy and what you want to do and what you want to test, that's just probing. That doesn't mean it's going to be your 4-quarter strategy. It's you're going to break this out and see how they react. If they react well to it, then you move on to another thing. This is what game planning is all about. You have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And let's say that Alabama tries the up-tempo 3 different drives in the first half, and we respond beautifully to it each and every time. Well, all of a sudden, you know what? Our time of possession is going through the roof because they're punting the ball. They're trying to run up-tempo. We're stopping them. We're forcing punts.
Sure.
They're going to adjust. They're going to come away from that. But you got to prove it. I think there's no doubt that at some point in this first game, we're going to have to prove that this up-tempo problem we've had
is remedied.
And behind us.
I have been saying all along, you're going to get tested like that until you do prove it. And the beauty of that is obviously those kinds of teams, if they're not able to run that way, if they're not able to play the way that they want to, and you take them out of their offense, yes, it's a nightmarish day at the ballpark, as they say, for those kinds of teams.
The crazy thing is, in watching Alabama and preparing for this game, sometimes you have to remind yourself it's Alabama from our defense against their offense standpoint. I mean, it's just so far removed from what they were in those first 4 or 5 seasons under Saban.
Right, like if you're watching us play against A.J. McCarron, or you're watching us play McElroy, or you're watching us play, Oh, I wish.
Me too. We could play a standard team all day long.
We love playing against that.
Right.
Now, that has a lot to do with what you see in practice. You know, how you excel against what you see, most notably in practice. What your offense runs, you're accustomed to seeing.
I think that begs the question, too. Then, if Jimbo wants to run, let's say, a little bit more up-tempo, would that not benefit the defense?
Well, yeah, without question.
Right now, for this first game?
Listen, I believe that's a big problem with our execution against teams that love to play up-tempo spread and utilize RPO. They just don't see them that often in practice. We don't run that way. We're one of, if you look at the plays per game, if you look at the pace, Florida State's one of the slower-paced teams. I don't mind that necessarily. It's just that when you face somebody who's the antithesis of it and you begin to struggle and you're not accustomed to it, I think that's one of the things to point to as to why. And it's frustrating. So, yeah, I think I almost sounded like Mets manager there. Why? But I do think, how?
They tell me Wilmer's been traded. To who? For what? I don't know. It's been a bad year in Queens. David Wright and Tim Tebow were in the same lineup last night for St. Lucie.
I don't want to talk.
It's been that kind of year.
Yeah.
That's the kind of year it is.
David's still trying?
He's still trying. I mean,
this has got a John Gruden thing written all over it.
It's Tom Cruise, He's got the wooden sword in Last Samurai, and it's in the rain. He keeps on getting up.
Sir. No, I would I was just thinking again last night about Hard Knocks.
Did you see the 3-second shot of Gruden nodding his head? Licking his lips almost?
How much does that guy want to coach Jameis Winston?
For the love of God.
I mean, how badly does John Gruden wish he were coaching Jameis Winston? And Rex Ryan, for that matter. And, that's those guys just nodding their heads.
I'll be your position coach.
He just – I want to give Gruden a hug. John, you're lobbying for the job on Hard Knocks every week.
I'm sitting across from Sean McDonough. I hate his ass. Can I coach you?
Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9, ESPN Radio. Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
It's located in Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue. Not only can you quench your thirst, but now Fire Betty's offers a new fun food menu as well. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. There's something fun going on every night. From trivia on Wednesdays to live music on Fridays, hospitality nights on Thursdays, and unique music video DJ Saturdays. Come take a trip down memory lane and make some new ones too. Happy hour at Fire Betty's is Tuesday through Saturday from 5 to 8 p.m. And don't forget about Sunday Fun Day with the NFL Red Zone, liquid brunch and drink specials all day, starting at 3 p.m. For catering or private parties, message Fire Betty's on Facebook.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he wants it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
We alarm our houses, and we alarm our cars. But when it comes to your personal information, it can be tough to know when something isn't right. That's where Discover Card can help. Now, we'll send you an alert if we find your Social Security number on any one of thousands of risky websites. And this service is free for card members. Just sign up online. It's our way of looking out for you, not just your account. Learn more at discover.com/free alerts. Limitations apply.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. Billy Payne is retiring as chairman of Augusta National Golf Club and the Masters. The 69-year-old Payne held the job for 11 years. He'll be replaced by Fred Ridley, who's been on the tournament's competition committee. The Cleveland Browns will start rookie quarterback DeShone Kizer in Saturday's preseason game against the Buccaneers. Coach Hugh Jackson says Kizer has a chance to earn the starting job to open the regular season. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Brock Osweiler is not expected to play in that game on Saturday. Ohio State backup quarterback Joe Burrow is out indefinitely after breaking a bone in his throwing hand during Monday's practice. That likely means redshirt freshman Dwayne Haskins will be the backup to J.T. Barrett to start the season.
It's time to start getting the absolute best sleep of your life. Check out Reverie and see why so many former Sleep Number and Tempur-Pedic owners are making the switch to a better night's sleep. Go to tryrev.com/ESPN. Tryrev.com/ESPN.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live. I almost said we. I can't really listen live via the streaming. Kind of hard to do.
That would be incredible focus on your part.
Yeah, that would be amazing, right? But you can listen live via the streaming there at ESPNTallahassee.com. Also, if you miss anything, all 3 hours is going to be posted upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. We do that every day. As soon as the show ends, my guys get on it and put that sucker up there on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing. Limited commercial interruption. You can email the show if you want. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app for mobile devices works just fine. And we're on YouTube. Hello, YouTubers. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. Tavares McFadden going to handle punt return duties. Derwin James, Keith Gavin going to return kicks. And we're moving ever closer. We got a game in Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm going to count Wednesday in the books. Can I do that?
Yeah, you can. And Friday is Libations Friday Fest. So, the night can get away from you real easy for all the right reasons. So, basically, we just got to get through tomorrow.
Just tomorrow, Tom?
Just tomorrow.
I don't know. It's been my experience right before you start the season. That last show before football exists is awfully difficult to get through, especially when it's to make our way to a pre-planned fest, if you will. Giveaway, libations, love, conversation, libation, and the return of college football, 6th Annual Libations Friday Fest at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Coming up in a couple days. Thanks so much to our many sponsors and for the free shirts from our friends at Full Press Apparel that you guys will get just by showing up at 6 o'clock over at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. We thank them. And 2 dinners from Saltwater Seafood Company, 8 6-packs from our friends at Cigar City down in Tampa, Oscar Blues Breweries, too. 2 rounds of golf for 4 at Killearn. $25 gift cards. We got good stuff from Metro Deli. They're outstanding folks over there, and good food. 2 office lunches, 10 to 12 catering from Jersey Mike's. Also delicious subs. 2 $30 gift cards from Games for Less. Locally owned and operated for the better part of 20-some-odd years now, my man. George Dial does that for you. That's a good thing. If you're going to buy games, you might as well buy them at a local place. 30-minute golf lesson from PGA professional and good friend of the program, Butch Bundy. Warchant.com, been together with them for a long time. Annual subscription for them, as well as a T-shirt and a tumbler, and 2 100-wing, 3 domestic pitcher wing feasts at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. All out there for the winning if you attend and hang out with us on Friday. And really, even if that wasn't available, it was just an opportunity to say thank you. It'd be worth it alone. And we're the ones doing the saying the thank you because you guys allow us to do this on a daily basis. Best job in the world. I'm extremely lucky. We all are who work here and get to do this for a living. And that's not possible without your support and your love over the years.
Yeah, the 3 best events of the year in no particular order are this particular one, the Libations Friday Fest event, the holiday season bowling tournament that we have every December, which I really love, and the draft watch party. I just love the hell out of the NFL draft watch party because everybody's hopeful and everybody's got a story. Everybody's got their time, too, on that given night. But it's going to be a really fun time on Friday. We're so thankful to all of you who make time every year to come out and see us, and especially, once again, to underscore the point. If you get there in time, you get a T-shirt, but then you also get a ticket for the raffle. You can't get more than 1 ticket. Everybody gets 1, so everybody has an equal chance of winning the prizes at the end. You don't have to front us any money. We're not asking for your money. We want to give you stuff. Hopefully we do on Friday.
Should make mention here, I know it might be frowned upon on these airwaves, but we are also, Tom and myself, going to be part of a new show. It seems like I'm doing a different show every day of the week these days. That's cool, man. More broadcasting about sports is not a bad thing, but rather a good thing, especially it's a partnership with JoeBucksFan.com. We're going to do a 1-hour podcast on JoeBucksFan.com called The Scuttle Bucks, and hopefully you'll like it. I think it'll be a lot of fun to do. It's once a week, and you'll find it on JoeBucksFan.com, and so that's exciting news for us to bring to you today. We will be doing a Bucks rundown every week, new content. In fact, there's a new one up right now on JoeBucksFan.com with just sort of an introductory hello from myself and Tom and talking a little bit of Bucks there. But the content will be double what's up there today once we get going with the actual week-to-week podcast, which starts next Wednesday. And you know what else? We got a game this Saturday for the Bucks to react to. We had Hard Knocks last night to react to. So soon the season and the week-to-week thrills that provides for a team that's on the come and a team we're passionate about given where we grew up.
Yeah, I look forward to doing that once a week because it was a dream, man. I'll be honest, as a kid, listening to sports talk radio in Tampa and not knowing that there was a better way. When I got here in Tallahassee, I found that out that there was a better way to do it. But I always wanted to be able to talk Bucks football. I mean, that was...
And now we will, buddy.
As a kid, I was a pro fan. I loved Florida State. My sister went to Florida State. They were my college team, and I cared deeply about Saturdays, especially on rivalry Saturdays. But week to week, man, I was all about the Bucks. They were just up and coming when I was 10, 11 years old. So they were the team that I would sink my teeth into from a football standpoint and follow them, down to the final man on the roster. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that. It'll be every Wednesday, released every Wednesday on JoeBucksFan.com from here on out. And also, it will be broadcast, not this week because we only did an introductory podcast.
On our own network here?
Correct. Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. So the Scuttlebuck feature where we're taking a look back and a look ahead will be every Sunday at 11 a.m. right here.
Hey, so, the other thing is this football game that yesterday we began to talk about in more in-depth ways that led to me saying that I was picking Alabama, which led to a lot of Florida State fans saying, Cameron, I'm taking your no card, man. Can't be out here predicting Alabama, even if that's what Vegas is doing and you're just siding with them. I don't think they like the terms in which I define that game's final score. I don't think they like the descriptors, of which I said that I thought Alabama would win the line of scrimmage. And, I understand that. It doesn't mean I don't think that Florida State can't win or can win. I do think they can win. I do think Florida State can win this game. I do think Florida State is equipped if they play a great game to win it against Alabama. I just have questions. And I think some of it, again, I expressed this yesterday. I don't know how many people heard it per se, because the second you say the thing that angers somebody, some of the other stuff sounds a little jumbled, I think. That some of my trepidation has to do with really believing. And again, I know there were other factors involved last year that, come to find out, certainly led to an awful lot of problems for this Florida State defense. But I do recall going into last year, and I think rightfully believing that this was going to be a very good defense. Now, none of us could have predicted that Derwin James was going to get hurt, and that it was a huge blow. And in retrospect, the Louisville game that we always cite and point to as just the absolute horrific afternoon that it was, Noddy was hurt. Sweat was hurt. Derwin was out. A lot of factors there. That defense isn't as deep as this defense is going into this season. So I understand that from year to year, you got to kind of change your perception of what a team is and make way for the newcomers, make way for the health of a squad, the depth of a squad, those kinds of things. And I do allow for that. I've already said repeatedly that I think this defense is going to be a lot better than it was a year ago. But I am apprehensive, and that stems, again, I think, from being burned. I'm desperately rooting for Coach Kelly to have these guys play to the level that's commensurate with their talent. And that's very important because that is how you judge a coach, period. If you are coaching at Wake Forest and you don't have the requisite talent to win elite level football games against top-notch competition, top-flight competition, because they just simply have better players. And you're able to pull off a couple upsets to go along with winning the games that are 50-50 and of course, the ones you're supposed to win. Then we look at you and say, man, Wake Forest won 7-8 games. That guy's a great coach because he's getting more out of less. He's getting the most out of what he has to offer. When you, conversely, have talent to the depth that Florida State does, and yet you give up to a team with inferior talent, which most assuredly a lot of those moments a year ago showed to be the case, then we say what? Well, you're doing less with more, and you're not coaching well. That's just a simple equation. That's the way that works. Coach Kelly, great guy, beloved coach on that football team. I don't question his acumen for the game. Sitting down and talking to him, he clearly understands the game. None of these guys get hired by Jimbo Fisher if they're not able to hold their own and stand in a room with a guy whose knowledge of the game we respect probably more than almost anybody in Jimbo Fisher. If they can't explain in so many ways their knowledge, their depth of knowledge, their ability to teach it and coach it to his satisfaction. But there would be no other choice if it happens again this year but to say, there's a disconnect between that acumen and his ability to get kids to understand it and then, more importantly, execute it. And so I'm knocking on wood that we see a huge step forward, just as we did towards the end of last year from this defense. And if they play great and they play to the level of their talent, then they will be a lot better than what we saw at the start of last year through the first 5 to 6 games.
A popular talking point coming out of the beat reports and interviews with players in the back half of last season was that the defense was simplified. And we discussed this a little bit earlier this week too. You know, the idea that after the North Carolina game, it wasn't just, hey, you guys can't loaf anymore. You got to give us these IOU notes. It's that we'll meet you in the middle. We'll simplify what we're asking you to do, and we'll get you to be a master of fewer concepts. All right. Is the lesson learned to the point where we're going to be running a simplified defense this year? It's impossible to know because you're not in the team meetings, but the results you couldn't deny. I mean, the defense, Clemson is a great barometer for me because that's an offense that we have problems with. It's an offense that went up and down the field to start the game, too, here in Tallahassee. We forget about that because of the great finish and because of the calls that really burn our britches as we remember that game. But I think that's a great barometer because our defense looked the part. Once we made those initial adjustments,
yeah, without question,
it looked like we had made strides against an offense, a type of offense that specifically gives us problems. So have we learned our lesson from a coaching staff standpoint? I mean, players develop, but that doesn't mean that coaches don't. Coaches develop, too, over time. And Charles Kelly has been entrusted with a defense that, I mean, hell, the 2015 defense played pretty well. They played damn near championship-level defense towards the end of that season.
Yeah.
So what happened year to year? Did he forget how to coach?
Well, the
or
inconsistency,
situationally?
the inconsistencies are what drive you nuts. And again, that's not without understanding exactly why, because we don't get to talk to him during the course of the year, and there would be explanations that could be given for why certain things go south, or without being able to see practice. You can't know on a daily basis what's plaguing a team. You only have those 60 minutes you get to watch a football game, and sometimes those things can be deceiving.
Or situationally, did things change and he didn't react to them well. So, coaches develop too. We have to remind ourselves every once in a while that Jimbo Fisher, this is his first head coaching gig. It's not like you're going to allow him the mistakes of a first-time head coach anymore.
No, because he's been a head coach for 8 years, going into his 8th year now.
But it's not like he's been around for 30 years and this is his third stop on the map. There are still some things that Coach Fisher is learning and developing with, even into year 8 as the head man here at Florida State. We talk about his demeanor. He's a little bit more, aw shucks.
Kind of even keel more than he has been in the past, too.
Micromanager everything at all times, Jimbo. So, hopefully Charles Kelly learned from a key situation last year, key adversity. Because it sounded like he did.
It did, and also, we can certainly posit that he was hurt greatly, not just by some scheme-related issues, but by injury. I mean, we do know now that in retrospect, obviously Derwin, everybody knew he was hurt, but then Sweat got hurt and didn't play real well for much of the season, including right before you played Louisville, and Noddy was on roller skates early on and became a different player by the end of the year once he improved in his health. So, assuming, again, all those guys are healthy, and of course you get Derwin back, just by that alone, you have a lot of addition that you can reasonably project. I mean, I'm really interested. We haven't talked enough about this. I am really, really interested in the season that Josh Sweat's going to have. He's got to come quite a ways to become the guy that people project as a first-round draft pick and to be a complete defensive end. Oh, he sets the edge against the run and has since day one. There's no problem with that. He's got the strength and the technique, the leverage to be able to do that. He gets it, he understands it, and he does it very, very well. But he hasn't been explosive consistently as a pass rusher. And you're losing DeMarcus Walker, and you've got to replace him. Now, you got a Burns to do that, and he'll get after the quarterback. We've seen that. It's funny, they're both striving to be more complete ends, more complete defensive players, because we know one in Burns can really get after the passer, but he needs to do a better job against the run, period. And we know the other, Sweat, is really good at setting the edge and stopping the run and doing those kinds of things, but he needs to get better and more consistent at getting after the passer. Both might take that big step forward, and that would help replace the amount of sacks that are lost by the absence of a DeMarcus Walker.
Who was dominant in situations last year.
Well, you could move him inside and out, and, it was incredible to watch him.
Yeah, that's when you're a defensive coordinator, that makes life a lot easier. Ooh. Why don't we just put DeMarcus here in this situation? I mean, that's a hell of a thing.
Over the guard. That poor bastard for Ole Miss had no shot. It was embarrassing.
I think that's going to translate to the next level, too. If anything does for DeMarcus is that he might be a third down specialist. But as for this group, yeah, I want to see what they do in the open field, too, in this sense. This first game you're playing against a quarterback who can break contain. Okay, do we stay in contain? Do we set our edges like Josh does against the run, but do you set the edge from a backside of a play standpoint?
Couldn't do it with Lamar Jackson. Then again, I don't know that a lot of people could. He was...
No, and not even DeMarcus could. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Again, I want to see what they do in certain looks. And I think the challenge in this game is not going to be about a sack count of Jalen Hurts. The goal is not necessarily to sack the kid.
Well, as Nick Saban likes to say, you have to affect the quarterback.
Affect him and keep him contained. So how do they do at maintaining the shell of the pocket so he has to make decisions with his head and with his arm?
Well, I'll tell you a matchup I do like, though, even in space with all of that talent that Jalen Hurts has, man. Let Derwin James get a shot at him. I like that matchup. I've been frothing at the mouth thinking about the matchup that he brings to the table and the many ways that they are going to use him as a star, et cetera, just to use him as the ultimate defender with the athleticism, size, technique to play against an uber-talented guy in space as a runner like Jalen Hurts is, or that entire backfield for that matter for Alabama.
And with Trey Marshall out for the first half.
Right.
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, and I do, well, I think I just alluded to it. I think they will do a lot of that. I mean, and why wouldn't you, right? I mean, because you have Andrews who's so knowledgeable about the defense, so you can utilize Derwin James in a lot of ways. Man, does he come into play every week, but especially in a game against a group like this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
IRA. It's a self-directed IRA set up with all the protection and tax benefits of an LLC. But the big difference in this IRA is you invest in gold and you hold it in your possession. You can't do that with stocks. That's security. You can transfer any type of IRA hassle-free in days. Please call right now and learn more, and we'll waive the $500 setup fee and give you a free safe to store your gold. Call 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. That's 800-515-6302.
I'm Fred Conrad, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer. For almost 20 years, I've been practicing DUI law in Tallahassee. Did you know if you're arrested for a DUI in Florida, your driver's license will be suspended regardless of whether you refuse a breath test or if you give a breath sample over the legal limit? And you only have 10 days from the date of the arrest to contest the suspension. Did you know in Florida, a DUI conviction will stay on your record for the rest of your life? If you've been arrested for a DUI, don't blow it. Call my office and talk to me today, 222-4005, or visit my website, fredconrad.com. I'll personally handle your case.
Your mobile company said you were getting unlimited data, but what they really gave you was some limited data that slows down once you've hit, you guessed it, a limit. With Simple Mobile, you get truly unlimited high-speed data with nationwide coverage on a blazing fast 4G LTE network for just $50 a month with no contract. Mobile simple with Simple Mobile.
Available nationwide at Best Buy and authorized retailers. Video typically streams at DVD quality. A month equals 30 days. Always refer to the latest terms and conditions of service at simplemobile.com.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world. Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the three amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters Marina, your full-service marina, and presented by Hobbit American Grill, locally owned and operated since 1978.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Yes, last hour? No, final segment of the 3 o'clock hour. I did briefly touch on the blockbuster deal between Boston and Cleveland. So if you're one of the guys like, I just don't care about all this football. That's what you got going for you over there.
You probably hate these 3 hours then versus the rest of the day.
Yeah, you're just upset. Like, why would you even bother? Yep.
Why do you interrupt the flow of ESPN, which is telling me about all the basketball stuff I want to hear about?
Damn it, man.
LeBron's legacy, Kyrie's happiness index, all of it.
Some sort of stat on Porzingis? Yeah, man. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Here we are. It is just now, a moment where, again, you are hit by the fact that college football starts Saturday. It's fun. You know what else is fun? I do want to say this is great that this is going on. Have you seen the outpouring of affection from his other compatriots in the National Football League for Anquan Boldin? This has been a week where it has not been hard to find just an overwhelming response, positive response for Anquan Boldin, the man, as well as the football player, and the vast majority of it has not only come from those certainly that have covered him and marveled at his lengthy career and his many successes, but the people who played or worked alongside him, and that's got to be the ultimate testament for, if you're Anquan Boldin, to have those that you competed against and played with come out in droves to laud who you were as a player, as a teammate, and as a man. No matter what happens with a Hall of Fame vote down the line or where you think he sits historically in the realm of the NFL, he was truly respected and well thought of by almost, it seems to be universal.
Yeah, I know there were more than just this one, but it is the Kurt Warner example you brought up a couple of days ago that still sticks with me. That dude has played with so many Hall of Famers, so many greats of their time, if they aren't Hall of Famers yet.
Yeah.
And yet Anquan Boldin is on the short list of people he wants on the field in the key moments because he knows that guy's going to get it done.
You know, one of the things about the Hall of Fame vote, I was talking with Tim Linnefelt, who you get to hear on the front row later on tonight.
Very nice.
And Tim and I, we've known each other a long time. And anyhow, Tim texted me, and we were kind of going back and forth about both the Hall of Fame candidacy of Warrick Dunn and that of Anquan Boldin. And he brought up what is traditionally used as the measuring stick for Major League Baseball, and or at least that's the way I viewed it. He said, was Anquan Boldin ever one of the top 3 receivers in any given year during his career? Was Warrick Dunn ever one of the top 3 or 4 running backs in the league at any point in his career? And I view that as that's ultimately a talking point that you often see or hear when you're trying to decide whether or not somebody's a baseball Hall of Famer. And one of the things is that's difficult for both Hall of Fames and for voters, I think, is where does longevity play? What role does longevity play? I mean, there is something to be said for the man who keeps himself in condition year in and year out, in the most brutal of sports, to be able to play for 15 years. Do you get credit along with your many statistics as a top 10 in receptions, top 25 in touchdowns, whatever it might be, right? Do you get credit for sticking around that long, playing a brutal game for that many years? Because it certainly allows you to compile the other statistics that is then used in your favor. And I do think you do. I mean, at the same time, you go and you look at the Baseball Hall of Fame and you'll find guys, there's some older guys, especially pitchers, who got in because they did get to 300 wins, played 20-plus years, were never dominant ever at any point in their career. They also never sucked, but they kept them. They took the ball. They were out on the hill. You could count on them, even if they were what we would refer to today as nothing more than a glorified 3 in the rotation. They'd win you 12 to 15 games back at a time when they allowed you to pitch well into the 7th inning. You could garner those wins. They might go 15-13, 14-12, and they did it for 22 years, and they got enough wins, and they're in the Hall of Fame. And they were never one of the top 3 players at their position, never a dominant pitcher, but it was enough to compel them to reach certain milestones that then almost deemed to be automatic for them to reach the Hall of Fame. And I think that drawing that line, figuring out where that is, pertains to the Anquan Boldin argument and the Warrick Dunn argument. Total yards for scrimmage, for example, for Warrick Dunn. If you just look at rushing yards, no, he's not in. If you look at him as the complete back who could catch the ball in the backfield, was a weapon, total yards from scrimmage, we look at those stats, durability, all those things, you'd say, well, maybe because his name is alongside certain guys that are in the Hall of Fame, and he has more yards in certain areas and stats that benefit him and others that are greater than that of guys that are already in the Hall of Fame. I feel like if you're in the top 10 in is it receptions or touches, whatever it is for Anquan Boldin, he's number 9 in one of the categories.
I think it's receptions,
probably. It's receptions. Yeah. Then you obviously, I mean, they've been playing football a long time, but it's also true. If you're going back and looking at all-time great receivers, you have this line of demarcation. You got to look at the time. There have been guys, Biletnikoff. Biletnikoff led the NFL in receptions one year with 60. It was a different game. So it's apples to oranges. It's very difficult.
I'd argue, though, that for Dunn, I don't know it's the same. His rookie year, he did kind of explode on the scene, and that's when the Bucs in '97 went 5-0, and all eyes were on him. I can remember, the two games. Actually, they played 3 against Detroit that year, the 2 division games and then the wild card. But they likened him to a young Barry Sanders in that, he was a shiftier, smaller back that got the most out of everything that he brought to the table. Lord knows he wasn't nearly as talented as Barry Sanders. Nobody's trying to say that. But with Anquan earlier in his career, I mean...
rookie record, most receptions, yards, 26 games, through 26 games, more yards and touchdowns than any player in NFL history.
Yeah, he was with Marvin Harrison every year. That was the 2 comparables about, fastest to this many catches, fastest to this many yards. He didn't make the playoffs until 2008. He debuted in 2003. I mean, you think about it, in 2005... Because I can remember him being a household name, and it was, whoa, who is this dude? I think if fantasy had been as big as it is now back then, we'd remember Anquan Boldin even more for the consistency he brought to the table from a stat standpoint. But he had 1,400 yards in 14 games. He missed 2. He was averaging over 100 yards a game in 2005 as a third-year player. And then Larry Fitzgerald comes on the scene. It completes the offense, makes the team better, but it reduces the number output that Anquan Boldin's going to put together on that team that went to the Super Bowl in 2008. So I think earlier in his career, he was absolutely considered to be one of the best players at his position in the National Football League.
I think early on he was, but I don't know even in those years if he was a top 2 or 3. And I think that's the hard part. A lot of times, if that's the guide we're using, because see, for example, in Major League Baseball, there can be a year where, let's say, home runs are down, Tom. And you go through a little stretch where, like Dale Murphy, if you look at Dale Murphy's career in Atlanta, if you just go look at his offensive numbers because of what's happened to the game, and you wouldn't ever consider him. There are a lot of people who would just dismiss him. I think he retired at 399 home runs, which is kind of crazy. He's 1 shy of 400. So if you're able to say about a guy, well, he's an outfielder where power does matter, and he doesn't even have 400 home runs, I don't know. But if you watched him play when he played and you compared him to other outfielders at the time that he was great, there are some years in there where you would say, yeah, he was definitely one of the best 2 or 3 players at his position in Major League Baseball. And if you do that, and I'm just kind of randomly choosing guys, I would make a more specific case if I had the numbers in front of me. But if you do that, you can find guys that had 4 or 5 years in their career where they were the top 2 or 3 first basemen in the league. And maybe the numbers don't translate to today's modern game. Maybe you look at it and you go, well, he only hit 26 home runs. At the time, he was one of the best of the best.
I think in the NFL, though, the playoffs matter. Super Bowls matter and having signature moments. And although he wasn't the centerpiece of the Cardinals team that went to the Super Bowl, and certainly if the Cardinals had won that game, Larry Fitzgerald's performance would go down as one of the best for a receiver in history. I mean, he has over 1,000 receiving yards in the postseason. When Anquan had a chance to produce in the toughest games against the toughest defenses, he did. I mean, who was the throw to for the Ravens Super Bowl against the 49ers? Yeah. 49ers come all the way back. It's on the line on a third, and you think it's going to be a running play because it's 3rd and 1, obviously between the tackles. Flacco throws it up to Anquan Boldin. He's strong enough to come down with the ball. They cap it off, they score, and that's your ball game. So, I mean, he produced in the biggest moments on top of racking up stats earlier in his career and having longevity.
And certainly some of it, though, and this is where we get back to the game is so dependent on other guys. I mean, it's really unfair to a player who was elite but played on god-awful teams that he couldn't put together playoff runs and numbers that would be the difference maker in deciding. I mean, some guys have been great players on just ass-sorry teams.
And it could be a bonus point for him. I'm not saying it's a definitive thing, but, I mean, hell, I would have loved to have seen Anquan Boldin in his first 3 or 4 seasons in the NFL in the postseason. What would he have done then, too? He didn't get to play in the postseason until year 5 or year 6 in his career.
Yeah, and we do this thing, too, with players and the stats being, I mean, they're so dependent on judging a player solely by stats. I always feel like that's terribly unfair because while Anquan Boldin certainly aided Kurt Warner's trip to the Hall of Fame, Kurt Warner aided Anquan Boldin's trip there too, and for that matter, Fitzgerald and I mean Warner was incredible, right? I mean, you look at you think of people that the all-time great quarterbacks have played with, and you look at their numbers and you realize we get into the chicken or the egg stuff, unless it's with like Brady, because Brady has never really, other than Randy Moss, that short jaunt with Randy Moss, in which they broke records. But aside from that, man, he's had, by and large, average players to throw the football to. So he further cements and further solidifies his legacy as we go. Those guys weren't wonderkins out there. My man was making them better, quite clearly. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
The Knolls are heating up, and so are the Makita deals at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener, your Big Bend Makita Pro Center. The Build Your Own Kit promo is here with many options to choose from. Buy a Makita Dual Base Starter Kit with bag, 2 5-amp-hour batteries, and pick your 2 bare tools. Cornerstone Tool & Fastener, your professional and serious do-it-yourself shop. 1110 Stuckey Ave, Tallahassee, or 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Call them at 580-1200 in Tallahassee or 926-1144 in Crawfordville. Online at CTF.NU.
The new Fox and Stag, Tallahassee's local craft cocktail bar in the heart of Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue, featuring a newly expanded liquor menu including limited release scotches, whiskeys, and bourbons, as well as unique spirits distilled right here in Florida. If wine is your thing, swing by and try one of Fox and Stag's hand-selected bottles from their ever-expanding wine list, or simply enjoy one by the glass paired with a charcuterie board or delicious small plates. Sometimes you just want a cold beer, and Fox and Stag has you covered too, with rotating drafts and bottles sure to quench your thirst. Come by for a drink and stay for the company, Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. For catering or private parties, message Fox and Stag on Facebook.
What am I going to do about Joey? He's staying so overwhelmed with homework, assignments, and tests. He's working so hard, but I don't know how to help.
Hi, I'm Lance Davis. Let Engaged Academics help your child learn how to cope with the stresses of academics. Visit engagedacademics.org for more information. That's engagedacademics.org.
You've got skills, so why not make money with those skills? Can you mow a yard, clean a house, hang a flat-screen TV, haul off some junk? Well, check out Tackle.com. That's TAKL.com. Tackle is an amazing new app that connects people who can perform small jobs and chores with customers who need them done. And the Tackle app is coming to cities all across America soon. Go to Tackle.com to see where Tackle is launching next. Just complete the 6 easy steps to register, and you can be your own boss, set your own hours, and make great money as a Tackle provider. The Tackle app is revolutionizing the way people get things done. Go to Tackle.com today and sign up. Stop thinking about making money doing what you love and start doing it with Tackle. Sign up to be a Tackle provider now at Tackle.com. Tackle.com. That's TAKL.com.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This day in sports history. August 23rd, 1963. Warren Spahn broke the National League record for career starts when he took the rubber at the beginning of his 601st game against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The previous record was held by Grover Cleveland. Spahn would get a win in a one-run complete game. He also chipped in with a double and an RBI.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. Billy Payne is retiring as chairman of Augusta National Golf Club and the Masters. The 69-year-old Payne held the job for 11 years. He'll be replaced by Fred Ridley, who's been on the tournament's competition committee. The Cleveland Browns will start rookie quarterback DeShone Kizer in Saturday's preseason game against the Buccaneers. Coach Hugh Jackson says Kizer has a chance to earn the starting job to open the regular season. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Brock Osweiler is not expected to play in that game on Saturday. Ohio State backup quarterback Joe Burrow is out indefinitely after breaking a bone in his throwing hand during Monday's practice. That likely means redshirt freshman Dwayne Haskins will be the backup to J.T. Barrett to start the season.
It's time to start getting the absolute best sleep of your life. Check out Reverie and see why so many former Sleep Number and Tempur-Pedic owners are making the switch to a better night's sleep. Go to tryrev.com/ESPN. Tryrev.com/ESPN.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Yeah, I didn't mention something because I don't think it's necessarily, it's not pressing, right? It's not pertaining to the season. But Jimbo has talked about it. And when I was talking earlier about guys that have shined in camp, players that have played well, players that have maybe surprised or might be in a position to continue to impress and get more time than we would suspect. I don't know that this guy falls in this category because he's not going to get on the field this year. But it's really encouraging to hear about a freshman quarterback who continues to impress the head coach in James Blackman. And the fact that Jimbo's, quote-unquote, extremely pleased with James Blackman, doing a very good job, is a very intelligent guy, lots of poise, a lot of presence, a lot of command, can really throw the football, moves around well too. He's doing a great job. Well, Jimbo will certainly pump guys up, and he will certainly praise guys when trying to instill confidence and those kinds of things. But this isn't the first time that he's been impressed with James Blackman. And to prattle on this late in camp about a true freshman quarterback who he didn't really figure to factor in any kind of larger talking point, and maybe, again, he doesn't as it pertains to playing this year, it's still a real good sign for a freshman to come in here at his size, 6'5", throws a pretty ball. We watched him in the open practice. Really throws a pretty ball, and people there were kind of talking about the way he adapted and how well he throws the football and how much talent he has. He goes on to say, Jimbo's at various points alluded to the fact that Blackman throws a lot of different footballs, and that is to say a lot of different types of throws. That's that hand talent you'll hear Jimbo talk about.
This is something that you watched from our vantage point on the right hand of the two fields as they split it up between 1s and 3s and 2s and 4s. And on the right-hand side were JJ with the 2s and then James Blackman with the 4s. And when Terry was tearing it up.
Blowing it up. Yeah, he was playing so well.
It was from both of the quarterbacks. And, the thing that really struck me was, I get it. Everybody wants to cringe when they hear JJ's name. And some of that's fair and some of it is overblown. But JJ's got a rocket of an arm. And in practice, when he had to get the ball somewhere quickly in a tight window, you had no choice but to, sit back and on the bleacher and go, whoa, that's an arm.
Yeah, he can get it there.
Okay, then Blackman comes in right after him. Same thing. James Blackman's got a cannon too. And that was the thing that I took away from the quarterbacks with the 2s and the 4s was, wow. They're not lacking for arm talent, either of them. And they just so happen to be finding Terry, it seemed like, on every single play.
Yeah, really exciting. So, again, I know this is the time of the year where things can get, we're all starving for info and things can get overblown, but it is nice to hear that report about a freshman quarterback with that size and the way he spins it, and to have that be the case on the 23rd of August is a big damn deal.
Yeah, you're not expecting him to get the backup job, but that Jimbo says...
What was the quote, by the way, that kind of raises an eyebrow, that he's still figuring out who that number 2 is going to be?
He'd know him in the coming days or within the next week, whatever he said. But, I mean...
I think a lot of us thought that Hockman could win it, but he's been out due to some lingering injuries, I guess.
That it's not an open and shut case. I'm not going to look at it as a negative that JJ is having problems. I'm going to look at it as a positive that the 2 quarterbacks that Jimbo brought in, one in the spring in Bailey, and then one in the summer in James Blackman, are at least giving him something to consider, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if JJ is having a problem or not. I was talking today with somebody that believes that if JJ Cosentino was forced to play for any length of time this season because of injury, knock on wood that doesn't happen, his theory was that he thought JJ would play well, that JJ has come a long way, and that he's physically capable, certainly, and that we largely remember him certainly from what happened against Houston and how he was a deer in headlights and certainly never expected to play in that game, and then got out there due to a set of circumstances that kind of came out of nowhere, with one of your quarterbacks refusing to show up and get prepared for a bowl game, and just a weird...
We didn't really talk about that too much as it was happening, but that is really something else, the end of the Everett Golson era here.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But we weren't all that emotionally invested in him, so we just moved on, and it was good for Sean to be able to play. Unfortunately, he got hurt. And so then what you ended up happening was JJ go out there and not be prepared to play, and it looked like it. He looked like he was scared to death. And that is the last real memory we have etched in our brains about JJ Cosentino, who I think is better than that. Now, is he good? I don't think so, no.
Well, what is good? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, sure, but we're not going into the philosophical realm here. I think by most definitions that we all agree upon, he's probably not good. Serviceable, could he be with this defense and the stable of running backs you have? Sure, I think he could be that.
I think you have to simplify your reads a little bit too. The one thing that stands out from the spring game, the Lee Sterling Memorial, is that Nyquan...
He's not dead.
I know. Nyquan Murray could not have been more displeased.
He was very frustrated
that he wasn't getting the ball. Mm-hmm. So something tells me that Nyquan was on the backside of a lot of reads and JJ just wasn't looking that way. But, I mean, he can fire it up the seam now. That is one throw he's got.
As an aside, and we may have some new listeners to the Jeff Cameron Show today because of the fact that we're going to be doing that Bucks podcast on JoeBucksFan.com. I was thinking it was pretty funny on Hard Knocks last night, and not surprising at all that there is a moment in time with Deshaun Jackson's like, am I ever going to touch a football here?
Oh, buddy. No, I was...
and that's the danger with a guy that you bring in like that who's had that reputation.
I was happy to see they time shift, so it's impossible to know
when it happened, yeah.
But I was happy to see he at least was in the hotel room with Jameis.
Going through the playbook.
Right. Because, yes, that when am I going to get the effing ball thing? I turned to my girlfriend. I said, this is the problem. This is what I'm worried about. The good news is that you got somebody like Chris Godwin who at least has similar skill sets. But, I mean, when that dude's in the open field, he still has every bit of the speed. I mean, you saw it with the end around last week in live time.
Sure.
But then even when they show it with the NFL films last night, the replay, good God, that
he's
guy is
unbelievable fast.
Wow.
Also, he does need to get the ball. I mean, it is going to be an adaptation for Jameis because he's used to having to stare down Evans. He's used to having to just say, well, I know the whole world knows I'm going there, but I don't have much of an option here. It's 3rd and 8. I'm either going to Brate or him. That's all I've got, and, I'm going to do it because he's big and he can jump and he'll catch the ball at its highest point, and I'll take my chances on a 50-50 ball with a guy that more often than not, when he's not going through one of those droughts of catching the ball, can make that play. He's got to break the mindset there. He now has O.J. Howard. He now has Deshaun Jackson. Evans' numbers, by definition, with the addition of these weapons, has to go. It has to decrease, and that may piss Evans off. But tough luck. We're trying to find some balance here, man.
Yeah, you got to figure it out. I was talking to one of my buddies who used to work here as an intern about the fantasy implications for Evans, but it still comes down to the stats. I said, his targets have to go way down.
Have to.
The stats may not go
No,
down
it'll still be a big play.
as precipitously because he might be in singles a little bit more.
Nice use.
Oh, thank you.
I'm proud of you there. Hey, let's do it. MLB Probables. It's about that time, buddy. Kick it up. Let's hear that music.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
I was wondering, where was he going to go? I would not have predicted this. You brought it back down.
Yeah.
Brought it back down.
Time to cool off.
Beyond the Tips tonight, Sirius XM, your boy, along with head coach Trey Jones, Florida State Golf. Sirius XM, 92-208. We'll be there.
Got a meeting for the Man Cave show in between, too.
Busy times. Good times. Dodgers, Pirates. Did you hit the it's now time for probables?
Yeah, I did.
Probables?
Yeah.
Did you?
You were waiting for the music after I hit it.
I heard the music. I just don't remember hearing the probables.
Yeah, I hit it.
I think I was daydreaming. I was thinking about the many things I still have to do when we get off the air.
Many.
And Deshaun Jackson. Catching footballs. Dodgers, Pirates, Rich Hill, Trevor Williams. Dodgers will go ahead and get the sweep of the Pirates, I think.
This is a good track for slow motion clips, NFL film style of Deshaun Jackson making his breaks out of routes and catching the ball.
It's pretty. I just hope he stays locked in and focused. Marlins, Phillies, Justin Nicolino, Mark Leiter. I feel like on this, the anniversary where, was it Texas beating Baltimore 30-3 or reverse last year? 30-3 in baseball.
Probably Texas winning that game? I don't know.
They both did. I can't remember. One of them did the other like that. A little 30-3 for that ass. D-backs, Mets. Nobody cares. Zach Godley and Chris Flexen.
Good call.
Flexen. Red Sox, Indians, Drew Pomerantz, Corey Kluber. We got Cubs, Reds, Mike Montgomery, Asher Wojciechowski. And he pronounces it just like that. Yanks, Tigers, Luis Severino and Jordan Zimmerman. Blue Jays, Rays, Marcus Stroman, Austin Pruitt. Mariners, Braves. Here it is. Erasmo Ramirez.
Asmo!
R.A. Dickey going for the Braves. Asmo and Dickey. Twins, White Sox, Irvin Santana, James Shields. Nats, Astros. It was too easy.
Yeah.
Nats, Astros. Plus, we have an inside joke over the years about football and such. Nats, Astros, Edwin Jackson, Mike Fars. Colorado and Kansas City, Antonio Senzatilla. How you doing, Senzatilla? I'm sure I screwed that up. I don't think that's right.
Better if you be Senzatilla Land.
Ian Kennedy. Padres, Cardinals. We got Chacin and Luke Weaver. Hey now. Hey, Luke. He's taking Adam Wainwright's place in the rotation. In 2 Major League starts this year, Weaver has allowed 6 runs and 10 hits and 11 1/3. He's walked 4, struck out 13, while showing more conviction with his pitches. So, come on, Luke. Let's do this thing. Rangers, Angels, Andrew Kashner, Andrew Haney. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Front row is coming up next. Who's their guest? I know my man is on there.
Tim Littefeld is holding it down.
That's my guy. Just him.
They're going with
just
Steady
him
Eddie
tonight, yeah?
On Front Row Knowles.
Front row Knowles, Tim Littefeld. They didn't give him 2 segments today, just the one?
Just one we have him on the books for.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
Could be a lengthy one.
A long Tim Littefeld section of the Front Row Knowles.
They might call him Timothy.
Tomorrow's Thursday. Saturday, they're playing football. Woo! That's a good thing. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. To all those that called and or listen, surely do appreciate it. You guys be well, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.